Hello, welcome.
What's
Howdy.
the deal with orbs, and how come I gotta ponder them?
Yeah,
Like, what's up with it?
you're looking awfully dark and foreboding this week.
Yeah,
Are you
Elden Ring sent me a cloak,
I was gonna say you
and
should be pondering rings, maybe not orbs.
yeah, but the orb meme is so much more prevalent, and also I got an orb,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how to get the orb out of the cloak to ponder it while wearing the cloak.
Um. Yeah. What does it say on the chest there? Does it
It
literally say cloak?
says it says cloak. Apparently, this is a Markiplier product.
Oh,
People were telling me. But is paired up with the Elden Ring. So a bunch of people got candy,
chocolate.
but
I saw.
yeah, and some of those people got chocolate that got like horribly fuck melted in transit, which is kind of funny in its own right. I got a cloak instead, probably because I'm in Canada, right? And they were afraid that the chocolate would get caught in the border thing where they look at it.
Oh, cloaks are always handy anyway.
Yeah, I felt like an idiot putting this on for the first time because I kept looking where the arms were, but there's no arms.
Well, that was my question. Is that right now you could just be rocking a hoodie, but it's
No,
not a hoodie. It's a
it is
cloak.
not a hoodie. It is two triangles, one big
Yeah.
triangle and one
Yeah.
smaller triangle.
It is in fact a cloak, which then implies a strange sense of nakedness whenever underneath the cloak is exposed.
Yeah, you don't know what's down here.
That's the problem. Um,
That would
well,
be a
anyway,
power move. I'm doing the
it's
whole podcast naked. You can't
that's
tell.
you know what, MP3 listeners are blessed, so that's fine. Um, full disclosure, I might be up and out more than once during this podcast because I am in the midst of feeling not so good in the lower intestinal area.
What you
So
eat?
I don't know if it's what I ate, but
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I think
because for
it's
me it's chili.
yeah, no, I don't think it's that. Might be some other stuff I need to investigate. But either way, um, we're not doing too hot, and we're doing good enough that I was like, let's podcast today. Like
Don't worry, I'll handle the coven while
yeah,
you're cooking in your oven. What? I tried. I shouldn't have
yeah.
tried.
Anyway, that's all right. Okay, so let's get to podcasting. We certainly have a week to cover.
Nothing happened this week.
Well,
Nothing.
I'd like to, I suppose, start out with the conditioned warning that I've now developed as a result of this job. But if you are someone out there who likes what we do and is a fan, but whenever you hear the words fighting games come out of my mouth, resident sleeper time, this is one of those weeks where we're going to talk about fighting games a bunch because some stuff happened.
Don't worry,
so,
guys. I got you on this one.
There's just a diverse group of people. Some people like everything. Some people like some things. Some of those,
No,
So
don't worry. I got those people today.
I'm giving them the heads up. I'm giving them the heads up that the thing that I like is going to be talked about today. So, and not the thing you like, maybe. Hopefully, though. Anyway, not you, the proverbial you.
Yeah, no, the royal you.
Yeah. But
be careful, she can move in every direction.
Not with COVID.
It's wild, man. I saw a tweet that was explaining like Omicron might be the most virulent disease ever, considering the Queen was able to catch it despite the fact that she's been dead for 6 months.
Yeah. The necromancy is like, it's not quite what it used to be,
I think my favorite
an
conspiracy theory I've ever encountered is the current one about the Queen of England, because like it's not implausible that the character who caught the COVID and appeared at the recent event is in fact one of the Queen's old lady doubles, and they're still trying to hide the fact that that old broad is dead.
I mean, like, if there ever was anything closely resembling a Palpatine-like figure on this planet, it would be the Queen and her
retinue.
Yeah, I suppose. Wait, what does that word mean?
Retinue? Oh, a retinue is the gang of attendants and staff that would accompany a royal or otherwise princely or figure.
Got it. Okay.
So like in Game of Thrones, when some dipshit would show up and like, I'm here to do the tournament, and they'd have all their fucking hangers on and all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the retinue.
Good. Well, anyway, yeah. I guess before all the stuff going on though, let's talk about the weeks. Let's see what's up. What kind of week did you have?
I have a question for everyone, and the question is: do you really, really want to taste it? I am, of course, referring to the spectacular dance number at the start of the new TV show Peacemaker, starring the John Cena.
Okay. See, I don't. There's not many things I want to taste, so But yeah. I've heard of and seen clips from Peacemaker, and it seems to be like really funny. And John Cena is apparently at his best, playing a complete moron.
Yep.
And I think perhaps I would have figured this out if I saw the Suicide Squad reboot movie they did with the James Gunn, but I didn't watch it. But I hear
what?
This is really good.
That's fine that you didn't see that. They recapped that like no problem.
I heard it was fun anyway, though. I still want to see it.
The new Suicide Squad, the new movie that they put out was a dramatic improvement over the first movie that they put out.
Yep.
And like, it's the same fucking cast in a lot of cases, and you're like, wow, writer director has all the power in the world.
It's the difference between James Gunn and whoever they fucking did the first one. Yeah.
So Peacemaker is stellar. Me and Paige blew through the entire thing yesterday, which is wild because Paige doesn't binge things the way that you or I do. But she was like, "Oh no, I want more."
And they just announced season 2.
Yeah, they did. It's really, really excellent. Like it is as the James Gunn funny that you would expect, but DC let him get away with a lot more than I'm gonna guess Marvel lets him get away for.
So
like, I did not.
I saw one bit. And this is all I know about the show. But it's one bit with him talking to like, I guess his his sidekick or whatever. Yeah. And like they go off on this whole Louis C.K. bit. And
oh yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking great.
I did not expect, like, in the first episode to get a full head-to-toe side profile of John Cena having sex with some broad screaming freedom at the top of his lungs.
Wow.
Like, they don't do it. It's the whole HBO trifecta of swearing, violence, and mandatory boobs.
So is it basically like he played the role of like of the super idiot on the team, and then it went over so well that they said fuck it, give him a show?
I wouldn't call it super idiot. It's not as clear in the original film that he is like an absolute moron. When he's given like 15 minutes in a scene to just talk shit, it becomes way, way more obvious that he's like an idiot. Okay. And I have to say, maybe this is a personal thing, but I felt very, it's a bit cliched, but I felt very heard. I felt very seen watching this show as somebody who has complained about comic books my whole life. You get a scene where people are screaming about how Batman sucks ass because he won't murder people. And you get a scene in which they're discussing, dude, I read on Facebook that Superman loves to eat poop.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sitting there and my eyes are bordering on bulging out of my fucking head because I feel like I wrote it.
Yeah. So between that, I feel like I've seen that and other stuff recently that sort of indicate that DC's willing to just like take the piss out of their own, licenses and like have their villains just shit all over their heroes and be irreverent about it.
I'll use an example because there's a lot of very self-deprecating like comic humor in there, but the one that stands out to me extraordinarily strong is they're complaining, the grunts are complaining that they got teamed up with Peacemaker because he's a moron, and they start listing off fucking losers in the DC universe that they would have rather been paired up with.
And the list just keeps going.
The end of the list is, I would rather have been fucking paired up with Batmite. And the thing isn't that Batmite's fucking Z minus. The reason that it works is that Peacemaker doesn't know who Batmite is. And then they have to explain to the camera that Batmite is a 2-foot tall interdimensional being that quote unquote stands Batman. And like, comic books are fucking stupid. They're fucking so stupid. They're so silly. And it's nice to see a bunch of people sitting around, like normal people sitting around going, God damn it. This shit is so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
because it's silly. It's silly.
It is. In the fact, well, the thing is that it's like comic book characters are the closest thing to the ancient tradition of like the oral hero passed down, through different people and different families and tribes and such, because every like the best writer's greatest ideas and the worst writer's most terrible ideas are all simultaneously shared and canonical in the lifetime of a character, including resets and retcons and undos,
It's also really the cast is really great. They got Robert Kirkpatrick in to play Peacemaker's dad, and I don't know anything about Peacemaker at all in the comics. I've never heard of him. But Robert Kirkpatrick, if you're not familiar with him, he was the Terminator in Terminator 2. He was the Liquid Man. Yeah, that man's whole acting career has been that he looks scary as shit. Yeah, he continues to look fucking scary as shit. Good job, dude. Terrifying.
T-1000 face.
And they took a bunch of the actors from the last Suicide Squad movie, like a bunch of Robert Patrick. There's no Kirk. Okay, Robert Patrick.
You're mixing up Chris Kirkpatrick from.
There's too many. Too many. They took a bunch of the like bordering on extras from the last film and made them the stars of the TV show, which was a nice little piece of continuity. But yeah, no, it's really great. It's genuinely funny. It's a lot more. This is gonna sound really like wankery, but it's a lot more emotional than I would have expected. Vigilante is. I don't know. Is Vigilante an existing character in DC? I genuinely don't know.
Man,
I will look over at my TV screen as somebody says, yes, he is.
You gotta. Okay. I can give you the dirt on like fucking maybe Defenders and like Blue Beetle every once in a while. But yeah, I'm not gonna be the one for a lot of the obscure.
Vigilante is my favorite character, and I was explaining, like, Paige was like, "Oh, really?" I was explaining to her, "Willie, do you remember many years ago we did a Punisher LP?" And one of the questions I asked was, what happens to Frank when there's no more real crime?
Mm-hmm.
Does he just start blowing away jaywalkers?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, here's Vigilante.
Okay.
Here's the character that will throw drug dealers and murderers and graffiti artists into the same pile.
Okay.
And I love this dude. I love him. He's great. What a great show. You should really watch it.
Was it 10 episodes? One season?
It is 8 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like more than anything, the overwhelming feeling I got was like, yes, this is a comic book show about comic book characters in which it fully accepts the total absurdity of just how silly living in a world with Superman is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I don't know if you've ever seen him. Peacemaker's costume is terrible.
Yeah, no, it looks like one of those like just old like patriotic like goofy things.
It looks like shit.
And yeah,
and
no,
it's great.
I mean, for a while, the like what is the fallout of like the golden age mentality of superheroes has been like a thing in comics for quite a while, but like taking it to the extremes and again allowing villains to just completely like take the piss out of your IPs and talk shit about them in that way is pretty funny. I will say that like it's good to hear that this is good because John Cena needed a win badly. He needed a dub real bad.
Well, this is technically his second dub because he was great in
the movie
Suicide Squad. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it turns out, given the right role, he is much like Batista, an excellent actor. To the point where I'm like, Rock, what is going on? I'm seeing a bunch of other big wrestler mans become big wrestler actors, and I've seen Rock in a bunch of movies, and he needs to stop.
Yeah, he's gonna. You say as he gets paid more than anyone else on the planet.
Well, that's because of family.
Yeah, he's created the machine, and it's what he wanted it to be. He wanted to be the Hollywood action machine. The return of, because here's the thing, like there has been a like the 80s action hero has not really come back. It's just like it's disappeared and then been reinvented into different things. Like here's the John Wick version of what that is, you know?
Yeah.
But there was a time when like there was always a Schwarzenegger movie all around the corner. Whatever was happening, you knew he was working on something.
Yeah,
you know?
if you go back to the period and you look at like movies that Arnold has worked in, you'll see like from like 82 to like 98, he put out like fucking 20 movies.
That's the thing.
Like more than one a year in some years.
And like that's why he would always get talked about with the other contemporaries of Van Damme and you know, Stegall, of course, was doing his thing.
Oh, you seen what's going on with Steven these days?
All I know is he was doing demonstrations in Russia, being really fat and using his McDojo life powers.
I'm doing big air quotes here on the demonstrations part of that. He's doing that thing where a young man runs at him, and then Steven Seagal like touches his wrist and does a little twirl, and the guy does 10 backflips.
Exactly.
And then he sits down and he's like exhausted, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, no, Stegall is classic. It's McDojo life. There's a.
Why do you keep saying it like that?
Stegall?
Yeah.
Because that's what we used to call him back in the QA days.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. We used to make a ton of Steven Seagal jokes, and it got too long, so it just got faster to say Stegall, and everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. And we realized too that with that joke, it's an inside joke, but it's not inside. It's transparent.
Yeah, no, I understood what you meant.
Everyone understands it immediately, but it's a transparent inside joke. So then from then on, we've just been saying Stegall. It gets to the point, you know. But yeah, he's part of this. There's an account you can follow on Instagram called McDojo Life, and it's literally just people from the deepest depths of your like Rex Kwon Do style martial arts that are like lining up with their students that come rushing at them, and then they just do like invisible hados and knock them all over. You know. And I mean, and like it's full credit to like all the stooges, because their performance is the whole video. Usually the person running the grift doesn't put any effort into the energy push. They just stand there and act lazily because, again, they're just dumb idiots. But the person who's getting flipped away, like some of them do backflips and straight up Shawn Michaels overselling, you know, rolling back up onto their feet and then falling again. It's incredible.
You know what's really genuinely depressing about that? Have you ever seen those videos of like these 50, 60-year-old guys who practice this kind of crap? Genuinely of the belief, yeah, I'll fight this MMA guy in his 20s. Yes. And they are, it's so sad because everyone's like basically tricked them.
Yeah.
And these old men just get pounded into dirt.
So there's 3 places where this goes when you follow these, right? Because there's a bunch of those hilarious ones, and then the natural evolution is a bunch of old dudes doing fucking God, there's a great one where they're all doing like slap foo, where basically it's just doing a bunch of slaps very quickly at the camera and like slapping pieces of paper and then slapping wood behind them and slapping everything, and then they show off their slap formations. And then if you follow some of these accounts or these people where they're like, no, I have a school founded on this whole thing, and I'm currently bilking like 10 students from their every month for some money to learn this bullshit. Someone might come along and go, okay, let's prove it's not, and let's prove how bullshit it is. And then like that gets extrapolated further up into the more real versions of it, where there's a dude in China that was like an MMA like professional who like learned a bunch of different styles and all the basics to like, you know, do your BJJ, to handle wrestling, striking, ground and pound, whatever.
Right.
And then takes that knowledge and goes to a traditional school that's been around forever and goes, guys, I want to show you that this is not everything. Right. And then they're like, this is an insult, whatever. And then they have a fight. And usually there'll be a Sifu, you know, a master that is like on the floor bleeding out in seconds. And then everyone else gets real mad and rushes them down, which is exactly what happens in like the first 10 volumes of Vagabond. Really? You know? But there has been a weird reaction then that, well, it's not weird, it's predictable, I suppose, but like a lot of those students that realize that, this is embarrassing for the legacy have really gotten like hostile with it. And like this one dude in particular, like literally he was being attacked in the streets and he had to hide with his family because people were coming after him because he was disproving a lot of traditional martial arts to be insufficient compared to modern knowledge.
And let's like even extrapolate that further. Let's say you got I'll just use Kung Fu as an example, like Shaolin Kung Fu or whatever. Let's say you got this master teaching this school, right? And let's say his actual fundamentals are actually, for sake of argument, good, right? Like in a lot of the shit I'm looking at, I'm like, these guys are in their 60s and they haven't had a real fist fight in like fucking 35 years.
Exactly.
And they're going like, no, I got this. I'm the master. It's like the guy's in his 20s. He'd kill you with nothing.
It's a lot. I mean, technique can go a long way, because here's the thing, is that there are old ass men that are like from, for example, the Gracie family, which is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu dynasty, and like they will be the old guys where like, someone tried to rob one of them at gunpoint. Now the guy's filming it with one hand and laughing as he
Oh,
pins the other
no.
guy down and just ragdolls him.
Yeah.
And laughs as the police arrive. You know, it's like, oh no. And it's like, yeah, that dude's an older guy that just like has that understanding of how to destroy somebody, regardless.
Listen,
of their,
it's the unfortunate reality of the male need to look at a situation and go, I bet I could take him.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of this meme that was going around. I'm not sure where it came up, but it was like, hey, ladies, if you want a good time and you have time to kill, just message random guys on your message list what animal they think they could beat in a fight, and it just fucking just the scroll where you just flick your finger and it just goes and goes and goes. It's like, what am I gonna say?
I got a lot to say. I could think of a couple.
Could I beat a horse? I don't think I could beat a horse.
A black bear though?
No.
Black bear. I could smack a black bear around. I don't know if
I'll
I'll
probably beat up like a alpaca. I think.
If beat up is like get it to be annoyed and walk away.
No,
to,
like, it's a fight.
It.
No, it's a
if
fight.
If a black bear wanted to end it, then like no, I don't think so.
Under
but if a
those
black bear was
criteria,
just like looking for food, and I'm like, don't look for food over here. It'll probably be like, fuck, it ain't worth it.
Anybody can tell a black bear to fuck
We're
off
having the
and they'll run
conversation.
away.
We're doing it. We're literally
I just mentioned it, and we're doing it. You can't help it. And now I'm gonna make my anti-black bear martial art, and I'm gonna use ki with my robe.
Yeah. So the thing that is unfortunately sad about a lot of that too is that in many cases the whatever the like traditional style is, the old martial art is, there's oftentimes things that are super strong and useful in it, but the right way to think about it, or the most practical way to think about it, is that Jeet Kune Do style of like, take what's useful, discard what isn't, So I mean, as someone who like dicked around in fucking Wing Chun for a couple seconds and was seeing what was there, and you know what I mean, like, or like this was years ago, but I just remember it was like, oh yeah, this has a lot of really cool stuff for like if you are like really light and the person that's trying to push you around or whatever is really heavy, you can do stuff with their weight and transfer their weight so that you don't have to deal with it, and. Yeah. Other styles that don't teach you about that are going to be missing out on the benefits of learning to use someone's weight against them, Judo has a lot of good shit with that as well, that you see MMA people using a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because there are bits and pieces that are useful, but,
Back when I actually did a little bit of this in high school, what I discovered is that I'm actually so much smaller than most of the people that I was fighting that it's actually really genuinely awkward to punch down. Like punching down at somebody who is that much shorter and is trying to touch your legs.
I
right?
mean, when you're putting hip rotation and torque power into it, and you kind of have to go at that correct height, it is awkward.
Like if I was crouching down to try and grab somebody's knee or something, they're trying to punch like 4, maybe 5 feet down.
There's a clip of Oscar De La Hoya fucking around in a ring with Shaq, and it's like, what? On the one hand, you have a legendary boxer. On the other hand, you've got just a fucking beast of a man, and with no boxing talent whatsoever. It's still Shaq, and Shaq can still just no. Back up, Oscar.
The saddest piece of advice I ever got from my teacher at the time was like, listen, you can learn to be really good, but boy, it is an infinite gap to cross even 10 pounds of mass, 20 pounds of mass. And if you're dealing with somebody who is like a foot taller than you and weighs over 100 pounds more than you, literally look us dead in the eye and just go run.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Stab them.
And then the other thing too is, because like with all aspects of everything in human history, is like, as we go further in, we understand more, and like the knowledge can be shared really readily and easily. So these days, it's like, do you really want to pick a street fight with God knows who knows
Yeah.
God knows what? You know what I mean? Like, you never know
Listen.
what that tiny person fucking knows, and like whether or not they can just destroy you.
Like, I know, sir, that you're in your mid 40s and you've been training under that waterfall and doing your katas and doing your energy moves your whole life. And I know this Logan Paul kid with the MMA background looks like a pussy, but he can make the veins on his arms get really big.
He can.
So are you sure, Ryu, that you feel like you can take him?
Look at this giant Naruto weeb. What a loser. Let's go pick on him. Oh, god damn it, he's a style bender. Oh, no. Oh, god, run. It's over. Yeah, you never know, you know? The last thing about that guy, though, who was the MMA guy in China who was, like, doing a lot of this touring and fighting these different schools and stuff, was, of all the hostility that he and his family got, the one place where everyone was super chill and accepting was the Shaolin monks.
Oh, yeah.
And when he went to Shaolin and like had the same thing, they were just like, "Oh shit, yeah, okay, no, that's cool, man." You know, like updating is good. We understand. Yep, totally. You know what? That's your
the most hyper traditionalist fighting arena that's ever existed in the history of the world.
Flexible, willing to
they
adapt. You know,
they want to live a peaceful life and also do cool shit.
Yeah.
It's not actually that rigid. It's just, you know, all the stuff.
But that's the thing, is they're missing the ego damage that the others are taking, especially if they've dedicated, you know, like 15, 20 years to this thing, then to be told someone comes along and shits on it, you know. It's
Here's my advice. Never dedicate 10 to 15 years to anything. Then no one will be able to tell you that you wasted your time.
Well, shit. That creates a lot of problems.
Only learn a couple skills somewhat.
Never commit to anything you can't walk out on in 60 seconds.
That's right.
Okay. Well.
Anyway. All right. So let's continue. Let's see. I talked about Peacemaker. What else do I want to talk about? I mean, in terms of video games, it's actually been a real slow week. I genuinely, I feel like, as a content creator / influencer man, whatever you call it, I feel genuinely bad about this. I played Horizon Forbidden West, which is the new PlayStation exclusive game with the Aloy and the bow and arrow and the robots. And it is a visually immaculate, tightly produced, mechanically dense, interesting open world game that seems to be just really excellent. And I had to stop playing it because I found myself ignoring cutscenes to check my business email for Elden Ring news.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Aloy
sure.
would start talking, and I would be like, okay, cool, okay.
Yeah.
Refresh? No, nothing.
No,
okay, cool.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't be committing to a game of that size and with that much of an ask in this critical period of time.
And like, I feel bad because it's good.
But you're also in a unique situation in that, like, you're not waiting on the date and time that you know it's releasing. You're waiting on a code drop. That could
I'm waiting
be
on consistently, like, hey, is there any news on the embargo date? No, not yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've had that goblin forever, and it's indestructible. And we've had many conversations about it.
Yeah.
And all I can say is I feel fortunate that I don't have it.
Yeah, about 3-4 days ago, my brain locked into Elden Ring is 1 week away. I don't care. This is how bad it was. Instead of playing more Horizon, I went and platinumed Sifu again as the girl. Which, man, that second go through after you've done like the whole thing, and that second go through is like no problem.
Yeah, when we can get into Sifu in a little bit, but like I have a major a major update to my mentality in that game. Has occurred.
So Horizon Zero Dawn, it's Horizon, it's Forbidden, what's it called? For Horizon Forbidden West, good game. I'm sorry you came out at this time. Also of note, it's one of those games that has a resolution and performance mode, and I turned on the resolution mode and then like laughed as hard as I think I could have laughed at the result. It drops the frame rate to like a fucking badly frame timed 29 FPS that's like juddering all over. And like I'm staring at him like, why does this even exist? It's like falling apart. It's so embarrassing.
Did you care about like whatever Zero Dawn like stuff was missed, or did it matter?
No, they catch you up.
Okay,
they catch you up real fast.
By any chance, did you run Zero Dawn on PC?
I did.
Okay.
Back when it came out and it was fucked up, and then more recently when it's not fucked up.
Because I was wondering if the PC settings at max for this and God of War are comparable to the way the sequels are looking.
This one is like, this one looks a million times better. Like they just throw a million times of unique foliage at you. But yeah, good game. I'm sorry I don't have it in me. But yeah, Peacemaker and that's pretty much what I've been doing. That and nothing. Playing with the dog. And
I realized that like that whole thing about when I was talking about like, oh, I'm tired of the Ubi formula stuff when like from the Ass Creed games and shit. I realized that like the way to get me to play an Ubi formula, whatever you want to call it, like, you know, Lookout Towers, whatever the shit is, like the way to get me to play one is to kind of trick me into it with some other like introduction theme. So if I'm gonna Ghost of Tsushima, right, because I'm like, let me play the Kurosawa movie, and then it's like, I got you, you're Ubiing, and I was like, too late, fine, I'm already here, you know. Or Spider-Man, fucking Miles Morales around town, we got you, you're Ubiing.
Those two games are really good examples because they're not actually exactly the Ubi formula. The problem with the Ubi formula is that it's literally the exact same formula for every
Fair
game.
enough. Okay.
With Spider-Man, you did get the towers to climb, but you got to Spider-Man over to them.
Yes, exactly.
Right, that's a much, and it's easy to Spider-Man over to them. In Tsushima, there is no tower thing. There's shit's just kind of all over. Right?
So that's it. It's just like, if you can trick me into it with like something on the front that is really appealing to me, I'll commit to the rest of the towers, you know. But if it's just the honest introduction of, no, you're gonna go Ubi it and you'll probably like it, but it's clean Ubi, I'm gonna be a little more hesitant, you know. That being said, like I mean, game does look pretty awesome, and the first one does look good too. And it's one of those like, what the fuck is the story? What's happening? Why is the robot animal?
They just tell you in like a minute.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
right. Fair enough.
It's one of those games. It's like, well, the first game had a big twist or two. So if you want to play that game and experience that as it was, fucking don't even boot the second game, because they have to catch you up like super fast. They're like within the intro crawl, they're like, here's what the deal with the robots is. That's a pretty good reason. And Lance Reddick's there, so that's great.
That's great.
Didn't know. I never met Lance Reddick in Horizon, the first one, so I was glad to see that he was a bigger part of the second one. The only other thing that happened with my week, I don't know if it counts as news, but there was a FF14 live letter of like particular note. I don't know if you have any of that on there.
I do have the outline for the next 10 years on the docket. Yes.
Okay, great. Then we'll just skip that.
Okay.
And we'll just move forward. If you want to check out my streams this week, here's what I'm streaming. Nothing until Elden Ring comes out. I'm gonna take it easy and go down to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. Check that out. Also, I don't know if you saw this, Wooly, but the game now comes out on PC at fucking 6 p.m. on Thursday.
Yep.
Which makes I don't know what's going on. I've never in my career been so confused about what is going on with an embargo.
Very, very confused.
Like I'll be really like behind the curtain. Usually when you talk to these PR people and they send you a piece of merch, they send the streamer group of dirtbags the game one day early. But now one day early isn't even one day early anymore.
I don't know what's going on, but
I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, look. Me and Reggie already spoke about it, and we checked and whatever. We're just gonna have to run a late stream. We're just gonna start at fucking 6 p.m. and do a night stream, which we usually don't do. And that's the only way to figure it out.
I usually, if I'm under the I think reasonable expectation that I would probably have a code for the game Thursday morning, right? Mm-hmm. And what I usually do if in that situation is I start streaming in the afternoon, because then I'm like 8 hours ahead of the midnight release. Mm-hmm. But now, since the release is at fucking 6 p.m., I might have to do the opposite of what you're planning to do and run an early stream, like 11 in the morning.
But is the embargo up as of midnight?
I mean, they usually just the minute they give it to you, they're like,
usually
it's up.
Yeah.
If they because let's take Warhammer 3, right? Warhammer 3 they gave me on February 3rd, which was 2 weeks before the game came out. And they're like, the embargo is the 12th and the 14th, I think it was. I can't remember the exact dates. So you sit on it for 9 days or whatever, right? When they sit on it until the last week, they usually means they don't trust you for shit, and they're only going to give it to you at once it actually is too late for you to fuck it up.
Nor should they, you filthy streamer.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I don't know if you checked out Twitch. People are streaming retail copies as of the weekend.
Okay, well, yeah.
Because Amazon did that thing where they're like, well, we have to plan for shipping delays because you're in Alaska or whatever. And then they send the fucking things out and they show up like a week and a half early.
I predict
GameStop boss manager goes, I won't tell anyone you guys broke the seal. Just take them. Just take them home.
I predict at some point in the near future that like Twitch might get involved and basically have like certain categories locked until a certain date, to just not encourage any of that shit.
That's totally stopped people from streaming like fucking boxing pay-per-views in the reflections of their glasses,
dude. Yes. Is there let me take a look now. Is there some game called like Eldenia or something that just Elden Path of the Forgotten?
There you go. You nailed it. You
done.
Yeah. Majin Obama was streaming Street Fighter 6 this morning, apparently. Somebody in the chat just pointed out. It's like, yeah. But yeah, so when Elden Ring comes out, I'll let you know, and I'll stream it a bunch. That's what's good. That's my plan. What's up with you this week, Willie?
Cool.
Or last week, rather.
Yep. So mainly just Sifu.
Yeah.
Perfecting the runs that I can, cleaning it up, trying to just.
What do you have access to right now?
So I have completed and gotten the quote-unquote bad ending.
Oh, nice! Thumbs up.
I've beaten it. I hit credits, and I basically have the the default game done, so to speak. And yeah, so I don't want to keep going back to it, but like the bug with the whole, or the issue with the age reset path thing changes the way you approach everything.
Yeah, sure does.
So, you know, that continues to be annoying, but whatever. It's hilarious because so the day that I came back to do my club run, that I had like practiced and gotten pretty solid at was the same day the patch came out where they nerfed Sean.
Did they?
So Sean got nerfed, and I went and I did the fight against him, and I was like, oh my god. So basically, two things I've noticed that are different. He doesn't do the sweep anywhere near as often as he used to. And when you do avoid it, he falls over and like is on his knees and open for a stagger.
So I played it a couple days ago, and I was like, man, I'm crushing Sean. Sean's
got
a bitch.
nerfed.
I'm so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I learned him so good. And like,
Mhm.
oh.
No, I grinded on him off camera in the original mode until I was able to see all of it, and then they just went like, yeah, we lightened up on him. You know, I was like, damn, okay, well, you know, I guess.
Sean was overtuned compared to the area in which he existed.
Yes, but I will say that like, when you're looking at their patterns, he's comparable to one of the, you know, the I'll call them like the Shaolin fighters, you know, like the those guys. When they have a staff in their hands, they do a high-low mix sequence that's also
very similar.
Exactly, and ambiguous, you know. Anyway, though,
I think the bigger problem was that like you fought Fajar, and Fajar's okay, and you fight Sean, and he's pretty tough, and then you fight like Kuroki and and the CEO, and they're jokes compared to Sean. Like
no,
they're
I was kind of shocked at like how freely you could go in on Kuroki. Phase 2 especially was like
Phase 2 is super easy.
It's easier than Phase 1. Yeah. So Phase 1 I'm still having trouble with it, right? Because learning to memorizing her swings and the orientation of what she's doing, and then whether or not she's going to do the follow-up is tricky. It's just there's a sequence of big, long, very similar animations that either alternate between like high low or low high, you know.
Yeah.
And then occasionally an extra fifth slam. And it is, yeah, and then you kind of struggle through that, and then you get to the next phase, and then
every attack is high.
You can catch the darts.
Yeah.
You know, like you can fucking like it's not even anywhere near as threatening.
It's like, oh, that's why you're the sister that got killed in the duel.
And then like I was trying to like learn to like parry the dash in on reaction, and it's like, no, you parry at the flash, you know.
Yeah. Or just duck it,
I guess. So here's the thing that is like really silly that I discover literally at the final level when I'm making my way through and to Yang and doing my Yang runs. The description of the way parries are introduced and avoiding is introduced.
Yeah.
I took it based on the way it was worded to say when you see glowing limbs, you have to avoid. I didn't think that you could parry glowing limbs.
Yeah, I also had that exact same feeling, and I also didn't think, because of the amount of like structure damage they did, I thought you couldn't parry weapon attacks either. And literally in the last level against the last guy before Yang, he's got the staff. I discovered, oh, I can parry the goddamn sticks like anything else.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh no shit, getting 20 on those earlier stages was hard.
Yep. Also, the brutes, you know, the brute moveset where they like the big like limbs that the big uppercuts they throw, that I'm like trying to avoid, and they don't stagger after you avoid and counter them like everyone else does. I'm like, yeah, but if you parry, you can push and then do a chasing strike. So
Yeah.
like the game we were playing was harder than the game was.
Yep.
Because
100%.
the big things that are glowing attacks that your brain is like telling you to avoid at all costs are absolutely parryable. And I went back to read it.
100% made the exact same mistake.
So the reason why likely that we both made this mistake is because the way it's phrased is it says glowing attacks are unblockable and damage your structure. You should try to always avoid them.
Right.
And that's what. And then underneath that, it mentions throws cannot be parried, right? So you have to avoid them as well. And so and like they're identified by glowing circles versus the glowing limbs, right? But in that whole section, it all it says is you should always try to avoid glowing limbs. It doesn't indicate you can parry them. So you're left with the impression that, okay, if I see glowing yellow, brain says don't parry,
dodge,
get the fuck out of there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Avoid. And so now with that piece of knowledge, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to change so much. For me,
100%.
It changed. So Yang Phase 2 was kicking my ass. I love amazingly, by the way, but
yeah,
it was such a different game when I realized all these glowing things.
Just block it. Just block it.
Didn't realize you could. I was doing the avoid. I was doing the avoid on all of them when he didn't need to, you know? So anyway, yeah, getting through the rest of that, like, it was so fucking great because I could feel how, like, even, like, so the Kuroki fight and then the CEO, like, going through those and, like, just eking out victory, I'm like, fuck that. Like, I won, but that's not satisfying. Like, I can feel that I didn't beat the stage yet.
The game, unironically, like I made a joke about the third level just being straight up Mirror's Edge's aesthetic, like 100%. The game's structure is Mirror's Edge as well. Like, you're constantly rerunning these stages for better times and and more perfection.
Avoiding what you don't need, and taking what you do, and there's a lot of like leeway for someone who, like, if you don't give a fuck about shrine upgrades, you can literally just skip the whole thing. You can make a boss rush. You know?
The museum's skip is outlandish.
Yep. And I think it's because they know that phase 1 is going to take you a minute. You know?
I use the skip to practice.
Yeah, exactly. It takes me right back to the days of, like, Sung Mina and Killick, you know? Where you're trying to like see the spins of the stick, you know, and get used to which orientation it's coming at you in. Super fucking cool. With all the you know, the art design and style and you know, the plot, as it were, so far is still, you know, I got to go back and get the true ending to find out what's going on, but yeah, I mean, the flow state you get into when you're on a perfect run is
that's great.
I've been missing that in games. I'm you know, I don't know when the last one was, but goddamn, is it fucking satisfying to feel it here, you know?
Also, I want to give like a big shout out to the art team on Sifu. It is all the difference in the world to have every single stage in the game have a overt, overwhelming primary color with a complementary color as well. Right?
Yeah. Well, the elements.
Like, so not just the elements, right? So first of all, it threw me for a while because Chinese elements are different from Greek elements. And I had to relook them up, and it's like, man, wood, metal, and earth are all separately distinct. That's crazy. But I was like, okay, green, red, blue, gold, and white. I'm like, wow, that's what a great overwhelming like visual aesthetic. And I'm like, it's kind of a bummer there's no black stage. But there is. It's the tutorial.
Oh, yeah.
The tutorial is in the pitch of night,
all
and
dead
all the
night.
characters are wearing pure black.
Yeah, that's true. So you've got the full Wu Jing, if you put them all together. Okay.
That game's great.
Yeah, I and then of course you watch your tree grow, and I mean, like, these are games too where, the struggle is the run without your tools.
Yeah.
And then once you have your tools, it just becomes like, again, flow state. You find the way to disarm or deal with every type of enemy, and then, like, keep it going. I'm curious to see what that hard mode is gonna do when they do introduce that. But yeah, I feel like there should be a place for games like this, because they're meant to last you a month, perhaps. Like, you can't look at somebody who's looking at this and saying, like, hey, like, this, I hear this game's good, but for the cost, how long is this gonna last me? Like, it depends on how willing you are to go through it until you perfect it, and whether or not that's satisfying to you.
The other thing, and this is of even more value, and it's where my brain went to Mirror's Edge. The long-term value of it is, in 2 years, are you going to be sitting around Sunday morning because you woke up too early and there's nothing to do? Are you going to go, man, I bet I could fucking bust out a whole run of seafood?
A run. Let's try it this way.
Mirror's Edge was like that for many years for me, where I always had it installed. I was like, man, I bet I could fucking do the server room like faster.
Mirror's Edge, I feel like Hades fits into that category.
Yeah, Hades
nicely.
is absolutely like that. For me, Gungeon, I would say.
For me, Strider, classic Strider 89.
Sure. Oh yeah, you can do that in like an hour, right?
13 minutes.
Whoa, man!
Yeah, definitely.
That's wild.
Definitely, like, games where you just get the flow of it. You can flex. Ooh. Nice, and it's a satisfying, just like, muscle memory sequence, Well, oh god. You know what else? Any treasure game. Let's be real, because I was about to say Alien Soldier, and then it's like, no. Any treasure game is made for that. Right, the Alien Soldier boss rush as well. There was a time when I'm like, fuck it, memorize how to do everything, memorize how to get through every boss, crush it as fast as possible. And that goes without saying, of course, Ikaruga. So yeah, I really want these types of games to continue to exist, and it's the perfect complement to drop right before something big and engrossing like an Elden Ring. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for the tips. They've been super helpful. I'm noticing the parry damage, like, potential.
The parry damage increase only made sense to me once I realized I could parry that fucking shit.
Right. And overall, like, you feel like, because it's like the easiest low level one, like 860, you're like, I'm gonna, like, increasing structure, I don't need to worry about that, I can always do it. But, like, no, it'll help you take a couple extra hits when you otherwise couldn't.
Yeah, like on Yang, when he's coming at you with the one that's all the wide claws, right? It's like, I'm only confident enough to parry the last two of those. If I don't have the big structure bar, like, I'm gonna be broken way before that.
Yeah, so I'm curious to go see, like, I'm curious to play around with, like, each power up at level 3 and just see, like, how it feels,
Yeah.
But because I've also noticed that, like, you have a giant move list, but I have my favorites.
Oh, dude, when I ran it through with the girl on my second file, like, I bought Chasing
Strikes?
Trip.
Chasing
no,
Trip,
not Chasing Strikes, the Trip.
Yeah.
I bought Charge Back Fists, I brought Ground Counter, and I bought Environmental Mastery, and like, that carried me, like, just that the whole fucking way through.
Yeah. Environmental mastery goes away right in level 3 though. Like the club, you're like, fuck yeah, this power is amazing. And then 3 and 4, they're like, you've got these art bulbs and that's it.
And there's a couple bottles here and there.
And the office, the CEO, like entire thing, none of those chairs, tables, none of that shit counts as kickable. You know,
it's wild when you get to the final stage and like a bunch of the game's mechanics leave.
It just wants. They give you some clean one-on-ones.
Yeah, there's nothing in the environment to help you in Sanctuary, and then you get to Yang, and an entire player mechanic just disappears, and he tells you to shut up for even trying it.
But here's where like I'm like, fuck you, Yang. I'm not trying to use my focus. I'm slowing it down to see what's up.
I just want to take a second here. You're moving really fast.
The moment I hit it and I didn't have bar and I saw that the game still allowed for a slowdown, I'm like, this button's still good. It's a breather.
Still good.
You know? Yeah, Sifu is like extremely high on my list. It's an all-timer. I'm gonna be talking about this one for a long time. And I haven't gotten the true ending yet. We're gonna continue, and it just feels good. It just feels good.
So about the true ending, so you know all that nonsense about the way you got to lock your level 20 run and all that stuff. Getting the true ending is comparatively like trivial because you just have to spare them once, ever, and it doesn't have to be in a run.
Okay.
You can literally like level select them out of order and then just go right to Yang.
As long as you do it at some point. Okay.
As long as you do it in some point. Yeah, it's really, really forgiving because I think sparing all of them in one run would have been too ridiculous.
Well, also, this is the type of thing where when we discuss how ending choices work in games, you don't want it to literally just be a stupid like up down pick your color. And you don't want it to be obtuse to the point of frustration. So this seems like it sparks a nice balance, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
We're about to head into some absolute fucking bullshit knowing FromSoft on on endings. You know, if they're going to be like, yeah, Sekiro was awesome. We love what we did with that. You know, so it's like I appreciate something like this that is like there's a challenge there. It's a very clear one. And then you can do it at your leisure. Yeah.
Don't have anything to say about that.
Yeah, that's fine. You the aura speaks.
No,
anyway. So yeah, that was very great, and Sifu will continue. Sifu will continue.
I just saw somebody in the chat say grab the Scrimblow and skip bonfires. I don't know where that old Smash joke of like every time they announce some fucking whoever and somebody goes, how could you not know it's the Skrunko, the lovable Scrimblow from the N64? And it's like
JRPG McSword guy.
That like Skrunko and Scrimblow as just fucking whatever.
It has replaced Baphomet.
Yeah, because Baphomet's too long to say.
There you go. So the other thing, please look forward to more of Sifu. And the other thing this week is KOF 15 put in a good bit more time, and then Lord Jimmy Bones stepped in for a special episode, so we had a little skirmish, and yeah, it's really fun. I gotta say that like it's something I've been bringing up every time I've talked about KOF, and like I think I would have had this happen to me earlier had I played 14 more. But realistically, I didn't. But I have to, and I have accepted that something I loved about the KOF years when it was annual was their willingness to experiment with wild systems. I loved that, going from the solid feeling of like 98 with extra and advanced mode, so you can either you can dodge, charge your meter, and then get your level ones when you're about to die, or you can install one and then spend it for a level 3. Like, all that shit was nice. And then it's like, okay, but what are we gonna do the next time around? And then 99 comes in and keeps a couple things, but then introduces, like, you've got like 2000 as well, with like advanced offense and defense. You've got 2 types of bursts, and then also we bring in a 4th striker, and then they throw all that shit out, and then they're like, okay, and then we're coming back in and we're changing it up, and every year was a whole new thing. By the time we hit 2003, they're like, what if we had tagging? What if we made it like
and then
hot swap?
11 comes along, and it's like, what if it was just Marvel?
What if it was Marvel? And I'm like cheering at the top of my lungs. God, I love 11. I love 11 so much. And it also introduces, and it
Let's all
introduces
be very real.
leader DMs, which then go on to be, what we are looking at as climaxes. But
the start of the nocturnal emission finish.
They are games that they knew that every 12 months we're putting out a new one. Let's just fucking have fun with it, right? Sometimes, of course, that goes badly, and there's systems that we don't talk about anymore, such as KOF 12 with the critical counter system, right? Like, you banked all of it on this dumb thing, but that was not an annual game. That was when they switched over to the numbers, so they're going to take a couple years. So I think there was a moment of realization where it was like, uh-oh, if this is going to be 3 years or more of development, and we took a huge risk on a system that everyone hates, the game is done.
So let's go back to something a little more classic.
And solidify what people liked the most, and kind of like go, this is the identity, right? And so 13, 14, and 15 have all had a very similar system of, like, the way climax and max cancels, and like the ability to like use your max cancels in like combos to then access free super, and then whatever. All of that has been fairly similar, and I think it's like that is now what KOF will consider its identity going forward as a system, and it's fun. I do like it, but it was also just a different kind of fun to be like, oh shit, there's fucking 4th member strikers this year. That's crazy. And when you pick Kim Kapuan and you choose the alternate, it turns out you can get Kim Dongwon or Jae-hoon to jump in as a striker as well.
Huzzah!
Those days are gone, but instead we've got this, which is good. Yeah, really fun. Struggling to figure out how I want to lay out my character, my team, struggling to figure out who I want to put on the team. I learned a couple people.
You want to put Ralph on the team, Willie?
Well, Ralph is always on the team, no matter what. Whether he's the best or worst character in the game, Ralph is always on the team. Turns out this time around, Ralph is pretty good. Turns out he's pretty good. That's nice. It's nice when that happens. It doesn't always happen. Shoutouts Kodal Khan, shoutouts Nikali. That being said, Kodal also came back towards the end there, so it's fine. But yeah, they fixed Kodal, and then he became very, very scary in 11.
Did they let him walk?
They let him walk. They let him run, so that you can be on your knees. We got Ralph in kind of like Biken too, in a way where it's like, here he comes, and now everybody is like, who's this Ralph character? Who's this newcomer over here? Oh, he looks pretty strong.
The guy who punches tanks.
Motherfucker. But not only is he great, Clark is amazing. The entire team, like the entire fucking I carry team is amazing. Leona's good. And
Clark sounds so stupid. I love him.
And I'm like, look, I've always loved Vanessa. I just never felt like I had the dexterity to like pull her off. And I said, fuck it, this time around, she's too cool. I have to keep her in.
She's
boxing,
a lot.
the swaying. Yeah, but I love it. It feels too cool to do it. And Ash is back, and I'm happy Ash is back, and Ash is fucking forever also the boy. I love Ash, and I'm still doing those sans-culotte fucking ridiculous loops. You know,
Fucking hate Ash.
so great. The coat is long. It's fucking
The
styling.
coat the coat looks way better.
The coat looks great.
The Ash looks a lot better than
Hell
his
yeah.
old design.
And
I fucking hate his hair, and I
yeah, it's the
fucking hate
bouffant.
how he.
It's
I
the
fucking hate
bouffant.
how he took my fucking favorite character and fucking shit them up for a game.
You hate his stupid, dumb, cute face. Let's say it together. And his freckles and his stupid, deep eyes and
Freckles are a little annoying, but eh.
Anyway, so that's a staple, and I enjoy him. Not to mention, as the premier charge character, the premier guile of the franchise. That's always nice. And then it just comes down to like, do I want a fucking dinosaur on my team or not?
You do.
I do. I really do.
It's not T-Sock, dude.
Don't
it's a dinosaur.
call him the
Totally
Griffin.
Different.
Nope. Shut up.
Completely different.
Shut the fuck up. How dare you? That bit is way better than, like, I feel like King and Armor King stuff, because King and Armor King is super cool, but
Yeah.
there's a part of me that's like, oh, but what if Armor King was King going heel? You know? And it never was, but like, anyway, it's a Tiger Mask thing, but I love the fucking idea of like, nah, I've the Switch though, but don't acknowledge it. Shut up, Terry. Don't call me by my name. Yeah. Dinosaur is a lot of fun, and that's you know, we're gonna have to figure it out. But like, I think I'm gonna you know, try to bring this game out of second fiddle slot and play it for a bit.
I have a question about King of Fighters 15. What version should I get?
Okay. Well, now that there's no early access on the console version, and knowing that you will never be interested in attending a local, you should get the PC version.
But I heard that the PC version acts like good old Kyera, where you got to do every move once so it can load in the shaders so it doesn't freak out.
I don't know that issue. What is
Oh,
it?
you didn't? Okay. Some people, when they run it, like the first time you do any particular move, it goes. Brrr!
Huh. I haven't heard that. What I do know is, as with like pretty much everything we're seeing these days across all three, PS5 has the most input lag. PS4
Bummer.
on PS5 has less.
Well, that's just silly. Is that Unreal Engine?
It might be. I think it is, because it's the exact same thing going on with Strive, and it's the exact same thing going on with a number of other fighting games as well. And PC has the least amount of input lag. So,
but I do know that it does have a little bit of jank on it.
Okay. If you want the most responsive feeling version of the game, I would suggest PC.
I have an idea. I know which version I'll get. I'll get Elden Ring.
All right, that's fine too. But yeah, I don't
have time for KOF, man. I gotta get excited for Street Fighter 6.
For sure. The only thing to you know, keep you on a console if you're concerned is if you're someone who's like, I need to play the version that's going to be used in tournaments. You know, that's about it. Yeah. So that's KOF 15, and I'm gonna be playing some more of that as well in the future. So check it all out. That continues, as does Everhood, which is I think got a couple. Yeah, it's got a couple episodes left as we go through it.
Oh man, I saw the Telltale Wooly versus image of an incoming like incident, which is like I was looking at your channel and I saw like Everwood part whatever, Everwood part this, and then Everwood part 2.5 hours. I'm like, wait a second. He doesn't usually upload parts that are fucking 150 minutes long. I wonder what happened there.
Yeah,
I know what happened there.
sometimes you've got to put it all together.
It's the frog, wasn't it?
It was the frog.
Yep.
That being said, there is an episode, and I'm just going to tell y'all right now. There's an episode that is just it's just a podcast. It's a podcast discussion. It's
okay, yeah.
Like we hit credits, and then I go full screen, and me and Reggie sit and talk about what we just saw. So,
sometimes murder is okay.
I think it's, if you're here for the gameplay, it's gonna be a weird interruption, but consider it, a filler that's optional if you'd like. But that's coming up in the list. So Everhood continues, and that'll all be going down, I believe, next week as well. I want to take whatever chance I can to go back and check out the new Marvel mods, because Marvel 3 has now updated and has completely inserted via the fans one Monster Hunter in the game, and she looks great. She's missing her demon drug, unfortunately, so that means a lot of the cool shit she used to be able to do can't do currently, but she's still there and you can do most of what she's about. So that is literally all I wanted from Infinite. And then 2, Devil May Cry 5 Virgil has been modded into the game, and it's the dumbest, craziest bullshit ever. Giving any one character that much power is insane. And he plays and feels exactly, not exactly, but
that's impossible. But
they did as best as they could to make him resemble the way he feels in DMC5. 3 fucking sets of normals on each button, and whether you tilt forward or backward changes whether which weapon you switch to. The full move list with the full supers with each one, like it's just crazy. So we want to come back to that. Over on Woolly Versus, check it out, anime and manga. This week we will be, of course, starting new shit. So the plan is tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll be doing Sifu. Then on Wednesday, FF6 Pixel Remaster should be available, so that will start.
I'm glad it delayed itself to the most opportune possible time for everyone's streaming schedules.
Perfection. And then Thursday night, as of 6 p.m. Eastern, Elden Ring. So please look forward to the hype week we got coming. All right. How about some sponsors?
How's your butt?
It's okay, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Good.
I took a thing before, and the thing's working, so I'm okay.
Yeah, good. Excellent.
All right. This week, podcast is sponsored by Notion. And Notion is for people who are working in team environments that need tools to help manage projects, collaborate, get messages across to your team with clarity, and all the things that can help speed up the process of team clutter and
considering the state of what my business email looks like, maybe I should use this, because I have like thread upon thread upon thread just stacked on top of themselves to the point where and everyone's goddamn name is me. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, back when I was working on a couple game projects with different people, like there was always like we tried different systems out for communication. A lot of them didn't work very smoothly. A lot of them were just broken up across like 5 different platforms, and it got ugly, and then people weren't being in the loop, and it was all kinds of things that can go wrong with that. So if you work with a team, Notion might be able to help you with that. It's according to their description, with hybrid work becoming the norm, the strongest teams have 2 things in common: speed and alignment. Both come from having one hub where everyone shares their work and processes, manages projects, and collaborate with clarity. So not all collaboration tools are created equal. Some help you organize your company's information. Others let you manage projects together. Notion does both. It's one team, one tool, so that your whole team can do it all together. Beautifully designed so that everyone would enjoy using it. It works pretty much for companies of all sizes. So whether you're small or a large group, it provides a centralized, customizable workspace that can be tailored to fit specific team needs, bring them all together, get more done faster. And you don't have to worry about, catching up on this message or who took that task and all that jazz. If you can all just see it together at a glance, that's the best, because there's more important things to do than, chase around things that are already done or play broken telephone. Yeah. I don't miss those days. Those days are behind me, and God bless.
Even the minuscule amount of that I have to do now is often more than I can handle. Like managing people or keeping track of different information threads is hard.
There you go. I don't ever want to do it ever again. It's quite simply. But if I can get help with it, then that'd be nice. So yeah, if Notion, I'll find out if Notion is the missing piece that your team needs to grow and get more done. You can learn more and get started for free at notion.so. You can check it out on your own and invite as many folks as you want to see how it works. Take the first step towards an organized, happy team today at notion.so. Thanks, Notion.
Thanks, Notion.
And this week, the podcast is brought to you by Castle Super Beast. Us.
That's us!
We are our own sponsor.
I mean, that would make sense, right? That we would bring you our own podcast.
Yeah. Thank you if you enjoy it. Fuck you if you don't. But also, that's fine too. If you have a moment, we would like to hear and get some feedback on what you guys, how you feel when what's going on, and get all that demographic shit taken care of. Because basically, it's one of those fill out the survey, and then we'll know what better sponsors we can work with.
Yeah.
What's a good fit, what you guys like, what we are comfortable talking about, and what superhero TV shows we can push while you hear distant snickering in the background. All of that can be
Shout out to Marvel's Inhumans,
all
buddy!
of that can be determined. What do you, huh?
What? No, this is a good show.
Titans?
It's a good show. Wait, which? Sure. Yeah. Titans.
What are you talking about?
Didn't we do Inhumans too?
Anyway. It's not a giant. It's not an inhuman titan of a survey. It's pretty quick. So all you got to do is click on the survey link we're going to put in the info down below, and fill it out and let us know, some feedback, and then we can do better. We can do better sponsors, and that's that whole jazz. So, yeah. Thank you, Castle Super Beast.
Thanks. Thank you, me. Thanks, Bully.
All right. So let's talk.
There's breaking news, Wooly.
Breaking news.
Street Fighter 6 has received 6 emails.
It has. There are 6 notifications that have yet to be clicked. All right. Street Fighter 6 has been announced. There's a lot of places we can go. So I guess taking it from the top down. Yeah, that is
Hold on, look. Before we go into Street Fighter 6, I need to bring something to your attention that was sent to me in the last few moments on this podcast. I just need you to look at it with your eyeball.
Oh. Wait. No. Really? Wait, when was this uploaded? No, this might not be. This might have been done quickly last night. Hold on.
Yeah, we got tagged in the tweet of the Street Fighter 6 logo being of $80 purchase off the Adobe stock image website.
Okay, on the stock image website, there's an exact Street Fighter, the SF logo, and like it looked. I was gonna say it looks like the S you draw on your desk in class.
A little bit.
But I need to see the date that this thing was uploaded because there's no way. There's no fucking way.
Well, let's see. The tweet was 2:46 p.m.
No,
today.
but no. The upload of this particular file. This could be fake news. This can be fake news. This might have been done last night, real quickly, by someone real cheeky.
There's about an 8-hour. There's about an 8-hour
turnaround
possible. Buffer period.
No, someone might have done this in that period of time.
Oh my god!
I really
oh
hope
man,
that's
if
what
you type in how to become a graphic, if you type in Street Fighter 6 hexagon logo, you'll find like thousands of the logos that are like very similar that are like years old.
That's embarrassing. Oh Jesus Christ! Okay,
I'm on the page.
All right,
when I'm on it.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about the logo, right? Here's the thing about the logo. Street Fighter 6 was announced, and if we're starting from the top, then we'll talk about the logo. I am someone who is usually pretty open for, graphic design changes and implementations and such. I like, clean typography when it's
I like minimalism
when it's an aesthetic that is like nicely handled, especially when you have a legacy of like loud burning text. It can be interesting to create a different tone. It can be interesting. That being said, the moment I saw this, right, the moment I saw the hexagon in particular, I knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah. I can tell, because I'm infallible, that this hexagon is the shape that you would see that evokes a feeling of UFC.
Yeah, so this combines about 10 different things that we've heard over the past like 4 years about this game. Like just from the logo,
it evokes an MMA
probably tell
feeling.
you what SF6 is right now.
It's an MMA vibe. This hexagon would print very easily onto a belt and be the centerpiece. Right? Minus the 6 notification.
Street Fighter, check your Discord.
Damn.
I saw somebody says I can't wait for like Mortal Kombat 14. It's the fucking Gmail logo.
Yeah. I have said that like I'm down with the acknowledgement of MMA in Street Fighter because
that's fine.
It's
MMA is a fighting style.
Because it's kind of crazy that like for years the franchise and many other fighting games have been martial arts and like not acknowledged this very clear, super popular, this is what fighting is today aspect of culture.
And we don't have to deal with any of the nonsense we were talking about early in the podcast because Ryu can throw a magic fireball and jump 8 feet in the air with an uppercut.
That being said, if the logo is in fact bought off of an Adobe stock, which I this is the type of story that we get baited to in seconds on the podcast and then hours later find out was not real.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun though.
Yes, but we are the only news source that is trusted.
It's okay.
We are fair and balanced. We are a news delivery podcast. People don't tune in to hear us talk about our weeks. They tune in to hear us talk about the news. Don't you know this?
Oh God,
We've got the Jon Stewart problem.
Oh yeah.
So
just as we're we're trusted out here.
Damn. Anyway, so yeah, that's what the energy of the logo is going for, and I'm down for an MMA vibe being what they want to do with this, but that's not a really good looking logo.
It's gonna be an MMA vibe, which is why Luke is the new poster child, because he's a mixed martial artist,
which I like, and that's the way
Luke,
I feel.
Looks just as shit in the new art style, but he looks like a fucking douchebag.
I like
it's the same problem that Shunai has in KOF 15.
Shunai is a chuny. Shunai
whatever
is the kind of character that has the accessories that like make him look like the high school kid that is inventing his powers, like Chuny.
Oh sure, I just mean in the sense that the new hero looks like garbage.
So all the comparisons that like have him standing next to Ninja are just like, yeah, that's what that face looks like. That's what the hair looks like.
100%.
That's the smile. I see it. I totally see it.
So I will say there is. So I mean, we break down the trailer. It's very short. Boy, was I mad. Yeah, I ran a fucking 2-hour stream to see 30 seconds.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's okay. Logo. Luke. I think this
Ryu
Luke
is there also shocking.
I think this Luke is yeah, I like this Luke better than other Luke because again, I like sleeveless hoodies as a look. I think that's cool. MMA, whatever. Yeah. Yay for that. Notice I'm a huge fan of like fucking Gai Tendo and that type of character. Like I've always just been down for that. Your backy types, if you would.
Yeah.
Even then, on the other side, here's unequivocally, thank fucking God, the default Ryu is now Hot Ryu.
Yep.
And Hot Ryu is now not just Hot Ryu, he's also Giga Chad.
He's wide Ryu.
He's always wide, but this is made for Giga Chad memeing specifically when that jaw drops.
It's also, I don't know what is the deal with Resident Evil engine game. Sorry, Reach for the Moon engine game.
The Chris stuff.
But like dudes in that engine go wide. Like he looks like Chris. He straight up looks like Chris.
Interesting.
And I do appreciate his new look and how fucking wide he is because he looks a lot more like Mas Oyama.
Yes.
Who is his original inspiration as like a very old Japanese martial artist from like, I want to say like the 50s or 60s or something like that.
Yes.
But
it's the so the Mas Oyama, the wide, exactly like original influencer martial artist. The wide Akiman Ryu that then gets made even wider by Ikeno, right? Yeah. Ikeno takes the Akiman stiff Ryu cues and then just buffs him up even heavier, and this is going into that, right? The beard on Hot Ryu originally was more of a 5 o'clock shadow. This one looks like it's been like chiseled, yeah. But like I can clearly see that when Hot Ryu dropped, they realized how much of a crazy meme that was and went, "Oh, we fucked up."
It's the natural evolution of his design, which is more hobo.
Yeah. Also shirt down. Also fucking shoes, dude. He's got slippers on.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even
For the first time ever, he's not barefoot.
That's crazy.
Insane. What a concept.
I saw folks saying that it was a 30-second pre-rendered trailer. No, that is absolutely Resident Evil Engine in-game
They're showing
assets.
off
That is
gameplay.
what the character looks like.
They're showing off gameplay. And so here's the
I
thing.
don't know if gameplay is the right word, because
Okay,
that's not
in engine. They're showing off in
it's
engine.
in engine. That's what the
Yes.
models look like.
Okay. So there's different feelings I have about it. And like the overwhelming one is, God damn it, stop with the announcement to the announcement, but I know you'll never stop.
Terrible.
This is
Terrible.
what they do. It's what they've always done. The way Street Fighter V was revealed was in a short trailer that was all about community stuff, and then there was 3 seconds of gameplay, and then the SF5 logo. Right. This time around, it isn't nestled in a bunch of fluff, but the trailer to the trailer is just something Capcom won't stop doing. I goddamn wish they wouldn't.
What it was nestled in was a delay. So Daigo ran out the clock, and the fucking the fucking timer on the countdown was supposed to drop at midnight.
Yes, but
then just suddenly it's 1 a.m.
And how fucking great is the irony of people being like, fuck off, Daigo, lose already so we can get to the Street Fighter 6 announcement when 5 is the thing that's anyway. Yeah, it's you're watching peak Street Fighter 5 being played by, you know, the OG himself, and it's like he's delaying the reveal. But anyways, so they teased the tease, and then we're gonna get more info. Fine. I wish you actually had, you know, stuff to. But anyway, that at the very least is, you know, it does its job, I suppose, to people who are, they just want to hear announcements, like an investor or something that's just like, oh,
right,
they've pointed out what their next thing is. Okay, big talk, move the money around. So Ryu's the wide, the buff. I always talk about how much I love that shit. I love the Akiman and Ikeno style coming in, and I love every time that like they double down on how much of a not typical, like Ryu the poster boy, the alpha years is gone forever, and he's not the anime main character kid, you know. So that's cool. And yeah, when it comes to the detail of the RE engine and the vascularity of the muscles and all of that shit, it looks incredible, and the details look fucking, you know, super, super good. I hope, because I was just talking about this in regards to KOF, that this does not spell out a abandonment of stylization for hyperrealism across the board, top to bottom. Because I love that Street Fighter's journey into 3D has kept the artist's interpretations as the priority over just realistic 3D. I love that. It's an identity. And even when it includes goofy shit like Ken Face and Chun-Li palms and Sakura thigh, it's a bolder artistic choice, and that I always respect. There are moments. I was leaving a space there, but
I am very worried that it is going for photorealism above all else.
The way through. I'm
very worried, because that was the first thing I ever heard about this game.
I don't want to see the you know, the artists that have been around at Capcom for years and like what their designs are compromised for the reach, right? And furthermore, I don't want to see but okay. I like the MMA inclusion, and I like the angle. I do. That's totally makes sense to me of this franchise. I understand as well aesthetically trying to find an audience amongst MMA fans, right?
Yeah.
there was a commercial that played during a major UFC event that introduced Street Fighter as the original MMA fighter, right?
Right.
But the degree that you compromise, I suppose, what we've come to love for that redirection needs to be, you got to be careful about that, because Third Strike putting in a kind of a hip hop, the urban flow and the design and the aesthetic kind of having this vibe to it didn't fundamentally change what Street Fighter was. It just kind of still was incredible sprite work doing the most beautiful shit we had seen of the franchise up to that point.
Right.
But the flavor was still on top of that. I don't want the flavoring of an aim for MMA to then also go like, we're looking at a UFC or an EA game for a title screen and a versus screen.
That is absolutely what this is going to be. Like, the whole
wonder,
front end is going to look like a sports game.
I wonder if it is, I've always talked about how, like, some of my favorite HUDs in the KOF games have been the ones where, like, the HUD itself is like the TV broadcast of the King of Fighters tournament happening. That shit's really cool because it's like it's in media. It's a part of what we're seeing here. Street Fighter becoming, like a tournament in that particular way. I want to see the flavoring and I want to see the introduction of that angle, but not for it to completely just feel 100% like an EA MMA game, in top to bottom form, but it's got fireballs in it. I really hope we don't go that route.
I think that's what it's going to go.
Okay. We're going to have to see more. But I'll say this. The parts of the trailer where you saw the ink lines appear, those freeze frames are fucking hot, first of all, especially on the Ryu one. Like, when you go, like, you freeze frame it right as, like, the ink is splashing over him, and it's like, oh, that's a fucking beautiful yeah, that's a Inoue-esque, like, rendering of a character looking thing. It was awesome. If that is kind of gonna be what it looks like when you're about to do a super, or when you're about to do anything stylish or so in the game, that'd be cool.
I think it's probably going to have the same amount of play that the ink did in SF4.
4 and 5, yeah. 4 has more, but, like, that'd be nice to see that played with as well, to kind of just, like, you remember that, like, yeah, this is Street Fighter too. It's not just Capcom's MMA fighter, and then, of course, there's gonna be the whole thing where, like, the bones of it, you can expect, still jump over, cross up, Hadoken, Shoryu, all that shit.
Gonna play like Street Fighter.
And hopefully, it's gonna be a fucking really fun one. But what we have here is something that, like, we're gonna need to see more. I'm gonna need to see more. But the most important thing is, whatever the fuck they're making, they have to make it and finish it before you launch. Do not launch an incomplete product that will sully the entire game's impression on the audience, because the version they buy at launch only gets better 2 years later, and nobody that bought it back then bothers to check in Street Fighter 5 has become a better game. Tons of people don't give a fuck. The launch was bad enough that the impression was terrible.
Dude, I played a ton of it and fell off it before it ever became the good Street Fighter 5.
So please learn from that. Please. Take the time. If you don't have anything to show off, it is what it is. But the more important than whether or not we saw gameplay yesterday, more important than whatever our first looks are going to be of the game, and more important than the artistic direction of the game, and then the UI and all that stuff, is the package you released needs to be a complete one, because it's not just about the memory of launch 5 being something that a lot of people still were like down on. It's also the competition has gotten fierce, and there's a lot of amazing other fighting games out there that are not Street Fighter.
Also, like, your fighting game hitting its stride a couple of years in is a disaster for anyone who's not really good at fighting games, because somebody tells you, oh, dude, Street Fighter 5 has really cleaned itself up. It's a really great game now. And you go, okay, cool. I got destroyed. Because people who were there when it was incomplete had 2-3 years to practice on it.
So that is something where better online systems improve it. There are big problems with towers that, like, me and a bunch of, like, towers in Guilty Gear Strive. The higher you go, the more of a problem it becomes. But
yeah,
for fixing what you just described, it completely does.
Mm-hmm.
So if beginners can have something like towers, you stop that problem from happening.
Yeah,
it's a voluntary level of opting into this much challenge and then going up a little more if you want to.
You know what would really help with that? Free to play.
It would help a lot. It would help a lot. I don't know if this is...
They won't do it.
No. If they were going to do it, I think the timeline for development might have been different. But, like, remember, 2009, 2016, 2021, right? The development time is such that it's like, it's time to cash in. We gotta make some money on this name.
Mm-hmm. It's not like the game's actually been in development forever.
Well,
that'd be crazy.
That would be insane.
If it's actually been in development for years and years and years.
God, I wish they could take the hit and just be like, fuck it, let's see how this goes, because they have the name that can do it. I really do. But yeah, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. I mean, in the same way that it's like, I'm sitting there, like, full well staring at a number that I'm waiting to turn into Street Fighter 6, and in my brain I'm like, yeah, but what if Capcom versus Capcom though? What if?
You said, boy, I was so mad when I saw that tweet, because I not only knew, but I knew that it was going to be Street Fighter 6.
And I'm just like, but what if?
And I saw you go Capcom versus Capcom, and I'm like, yeah, I want it to be that instead of what I obviously know it's going to be.
Am I allowed to engage in a little bit of magical thinking every now and then? Yes, I would like to.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Well, if they ever started working on Capcom versus Capcom, you'd probably know about it like 3 years before it fucking got announced. I
would hope so.
So when you post like, boy, I hope it's Capcom versus Capcom, everybody should take that to know it's not Capcom versus Capcom.
No, I willfully engaged in some magical thinking. But yes, no, anyway.
Do you know what my favorite part of the announcement was?
Mm-hmm.
When they cut back to the analysts at the Capcom Cup, everybody on the stage reacting to the SF6 announcement, you got to see the whole spectrum of acting talent.
The mics were cut.
The mics were cut. But you got to see everything from people holding up a chair, oh my God, to like the guy that was on the far left that was like, yeah, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
no, we're not.
Oh man.
We're not quite gonna get the days of the Tasty Steve arm grab, right? If you're not playing Tekken, what is wrong with you? Yeah. No, anyways, I need more info, but like what's here is hopefully something that they're like, I hope that they're like putting things out and testing the waters and feeling how people are reacting to things, because I feel that the version of Luke that dropped into 5 was also like we can change him around for 6 now. Like, we can get rid of the stars on the arms. We can tweak this and do that, and like, I feel as if there was a costume test thought at some point.
Yeah, you might be able to change every single part of Luke up until release.
But yeah,
from his hair to his clothes, his shoes.
Mm-hmm. If Luke is the poster boy that represents the new world of MMA, which, again, not everybody is excited for, and I get that. I hope that there are other genres of character that are newcomers that people would be excited for, I would like to see some new characters. I'd like to see some old returning characters that have not been seen since fucking Street Fighter 1. Get some Retsu up in there, If we can dig up Final Fight characters as well, that's great.
What's the nightmare? The fucking absolute nightmare. It's like, okay, 16 characters, your old classics. Ryu, Chun-Li, Zangief, Blanca, etc., right? For the first 8. And then here's the new warriors. It's Luke, the MMA man, and Joey, the MMA man, and Sarah, the MMA lady, and Joey, the MMA guy.
That's my point. My point is like, if we're bringing it in and we're steering in that direction, like, you gotta still bring in the freaks. And we know that the freaks have always been strong. SF will always pick 4 freaks and drop them on you, and you're gonna go, damn, these some freaks. I want the white one with no mouth. You can pick the white one with the mouth and the weird limbs. No, the other white one with the mouth and the weird limbs. Okay, yeah,
that's pretty vague. That's pretty vague.
And then, you got your freak picks. Always pretty much a guarantee in these games. I'm like, what happens? Because here's the thought, right? Follow the experiment through. Hyperrealism, okay? Cool. What happens when Abigail shows up?
Abigail's like 11 feet tall, right?
What happens? Do you just take Brock Lesnar and increase his fucking scale percentage? Like, what do you do? I don't know, but you can't make sense of that. So hyperrealism can only go so far with...
That's not true. It can go as far as they want.
Okay, so Uncanny Valley then.
Oh, yeah.
Just full on Dalsum is a realistic old man, and you're just going to get creeped the fuck out by those arms.
Dalsum just looks like the fucking bald version of the guy from the Human Guillotine. And he does all that arm shit.
Oh, boy.
And on every normal, you hear all his joints dislocate.
Also, if anyone is going to complain or say anything fucking bullshit about Chun-Li and the size of her thighs, you need to go look at the real life versions of Chun-Li that already exist, where they're like, no, there are people that have those proportions. So Chun-Li is already real.
No, you know what they need to do, right? They need to take, like, that lady who cosplayed Chun-Li with the big thighs.
Yeah.
Just grab that slider, 70% more. Just have a head on a pair of legs.
But then they'll go find somebody who looks like that in real life too.
Well, there's no one walking around that's a head on a pair of legs.
Not with that attitude. So yeah, more info desperately needed. At the end of the day, Capcom Street Fighter needs a win. Needs a really big win, because you know, they're being shown up in this fighting game climate. Capcom's, you know, like 5 got to a good state after way too long. Infinite did nothing. And every time a Capcom game doesn't work out, someone else shows up and takes that spot, you know? And we've seen enough that we know that, like, Arxis and NetherRealm are willing to just hoard that shit if time will, you know, let them. So, they really, really, really need this to work the fuck out.
Yeah. And what better way to calm us down and make us all relax that it's going to be great by earlier today announcing that Yusuke Hashimoto, the person who made Bayonetta 2 play worse than Bayonetta 1, is one of the designers on Street Fighter 6.
So Hashimoto, who I believe we reported on the story, he left Platinum 3 years ago. As the designer on Street Fighter 6. That being said, I think you give Bayo 2 way more flack than it deserves. I think Bayo 2 is a fucking awesome game.
When was the last time you played it?
A while ago when I was
played it last year, and that's when I got my grumpy opinions on it.
But I liked it. I liked it back then too, though. Like I there's the stuff that you kind of go, these are the changes between 1 and 2 that come to mind. And when I did it back for the early channel with Reggie and stuff, there was a like revisit of the package. But I still, you know, I get it. I still think Bayonetta 2 is a fucking cool game. Like I think the difference between like 1 being a better game versus 2 is not that controversial a statement. Though 2 being considered like not good is another extreme of that. Okay.
Well, I said it doesn't play as well because Umber and Climax is horribly overtuned.
Fair enough. The other things on Hashimoto's list include Biohazard, Biohazard 4, and God Hand to some degree. So he's worked on some stuff.
That's true.
You know, I'm not going to look at the Bayo 2 part of that as a...
Well, it's better than Ono.
And all be all. It is.
Isn't it?
It is.
You said he left Platinum 3 years ago?
I believe the story
was
yeah, I think we ran the story 3 or 4 years ago or so.
Wow, you think he went right into working on this?
I think he went right into working on this. I think he might
have
been...
that timing's crazy.
I think he might have been poached.
Maybe they were like, hey, we need someone else to work on Street Fighter 6 right now.
Yeah. God. Someday. But not today.
Not today.
Anyway, he's so I'm looking at the credits and it's like, yeah, he is director on Bayo 2, producer on Bayo 1, and various credits for visual crew, special effects, art department, and other on many of the other games, including the RE stuff, Devil May Cry, God Hand, etc. There's a you know, he's been involved with some hot shit. I am cautiously optimistic.
I need to see
if you
one
want to know
round.
If you want to know how Wooly feels cautiously optimistic.
I need a round.
I do.
Like I'm like totally could go either way. I need to see one round. Which I'm kind of shocked we didn't see.
No, the only thing we can tell is if the ink flashes are what they did in the trailer, they're going to look very pretty. The ink splashes are going to look very, very cool if that's what they're doing with it. And that's about it. I also hope that they embrace aging characters. please be set after Street Fighter 3? Please?
Yeah.
Please? We don't have to stand in this weird nebula between 2 and fucking 3 forever.
I think seeing old Ryu is kind of like, okay, finally.
Like, we know they've showed up. Alex is here. We've done it. Gil's here. They've done it. It's there. Luke showed up for a second. He's there. It's cool. Please move forward into the future. All right. Other things that were announced were I'm just going to call it the fucking Darkstalkers collection plus other cool shit.
Oh, dude, there's so much stuff in that.
I'm really happy about that because we have been going back to a bunch of old Capcom classics on Get Into Fighting games. And over the last few months, we played Red Earth, Cyberbots, and we did a VSAV episode, back in the day with Esteban. So, like, it is a very clear, like, this is the Capcom test, as you know. Not for everything, though. They're not testing whether or not you want to buy Pocket Fighter. But when you look at this list, it's like there's no real chance of anything Cyberbots related showing back up in any way outside of costumes. But you better believe your ass that the Darkstalkers' emphasis on this collection probably is not for nothing. And it's all 5, and VSAV is 2 is where VSAV is where what people are gonna want to probably spend the most time on. It is very cool to see all of these things roll back right away. Lobbies confirmed, perfect, right? And like even little shit like when we were playing Cyberbots, and I was like, I wish I could like practice. It's like, oh yeah, there's a practice mode now. We're like, hey, good. So, an excuse to take a look at these things that I've just been thinking. I'm like, why would you just let these sit and like not have any access to them? So good collection, Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Probably, hopefully, at some point, maybe will finally give us a third strike that we can play in the modern context.
So I have to really fundamentally disagree with you on one thing. Well, you called this the thing that there's a lot of Darkstalkers game in this isn't a coincidence, and this is a Capcom test. You know better than to say that something is a Capcom test. The Capcom test has always been an overt lie. It has never actually meant anything.
With this particular one, I think there's some history to assume.
Yeah, absolutely there is, but like Darkstalkers has historically sold well on every single one of its releases or re-releases, and that never meant anything, regardless of whatever happened to be going on behind the scenes.
Because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes those sales didn't matter. Certainly.
And like I buy Ace Attorney and Resident Evil games, and have seen people overtly say, "Oh yeah, this is a test to see what's popular here." And no matter how well those sell, and those are franchises that don't have the nonsense going on with that Darkstalkers has, they'll just do whatever the fuck they want.
I imagine again, and there's a lot of rumors, and there's a lot of bullshit, and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes and behind the curtains that affects this title in particular that I look at and I go, I wonder if it's even just a prompt to go like, should we even start from scratch?
That I can see.
That's what I mean. Should we even start from scratch? Because this is of the 10 games on this collection, half of them are Darkstalkers. And the other half are just, they grabbed some CPS classics people loved.
They have let Darkstalkers kind of languish in their re-release department for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And hey,
but like
for Street Fighter 6, we can look at if this thing finally has decent netcode, we can take it to assume that SF6 they're gonna improve whatever the fuck was wrong with 5 and
hopefully,
actually give us a good playing game.
But they didn't include like Armored Warriors. They threw Cyberbots on. You know, they didn't include you know, the not everything got its variations. So yeah, that's my read on it. Is this is a glorified Darkstalkers collection. And I'll tell you one thing. At bare minimum, the extremely small but passionate Darkstalkers competitive community is...
You mean Daigo and his 6 friends?
I mean, Daigo and Esteban and like 3 other dudes are going to be very happy about this, because those games are crazy, and the ability to play them for real and with rollback is like, you've okay, great. It's now been settled for at least the next decade, you know? So that's great. This is a really, I'm happy with this announcement. And I'm happy as well that people get to experience the fucking weirdness that is Warzard, aka Red Earth. The fighting game
Don't care for that one.
It's a fighting game that is also a single player adventure that lets you level up and get new moves as you progress, and then you save your character, and then when you get more moves, your character gets stronger. It's fucking just batshit crazy shit. But also, because of that, there's only 4 characters.
Woo.
It's on the collection. Give it a glance and
play it for 15 minutes and go, wow.
Play it and use a password to unlock the full version, the max leveled up versions of the characters. Otherwise, you're gonna have like 3 moves and that'll be it.
Yeah, play it and be like, wow, this was really worth putting in the most absurdly draconian anti-piracy measure ever to be instituted on our arcade board for.
Oh God. The suicide system
to protect this.
Yeah, it was to protect Third Strike and JoJo. Really.
Of course it was, but still.
And Cyberbots as well is like, hey, look, you know, you like it's a Jin Saotome costume. Now here's the game he came from.
I to this day am astonished that the suicide board was defeated.
Phoenix mod.
Cause like, there's one thing about like, you know, like I'll look at like guys, you know, you're browsing around the internet, you're like, oh, this is dude's lock picking channel or whatever, right? It's like, I picked these locks, haha, right? And it's okay, whatever. But the thing with the suicide boards, there were only a certain fucking amount of them, and every time you tried and failed, the fucking thing would self-destruct.
Yeah, so just to catch everyone up to speed, the CPS3 was the arcade board that was introduced to surpass the CPS2, which is where all the alpha games came from and such. CPS3 being Third Strike, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Red Earth, and one other game that I always forget. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's pretty much just those. And the piracy of the Street Fighter boards at the time, arcade rainbow editions, etc.
Oh, it's rampant. It was crazy.
It left Capcom paranoid as fuck, because their whole business was people buying Street Fighter 2 machines. That was the whole company for a solid while there, and it made sense because of how fucking successful the goddamn thing was, right? Like, it took over the world. It was the most popular thing.
It was the Fortnite du jour.
So they needed a way to fight back against the knockoff boards that would inevitably happen for every game that they were putting out. And eventually, not only were those knockoff boards like cheaper, but they were introducing modded versions of the games that people were like super hyped to play, because they had crazy shit in them, like pressing start to change character in mid-round, floating off the air, Hadokens flying backwards through the screen, lariats that go flying upwards that you can float, walk in the air, all that crazy Rainbow Edition shit. People were like, oh my God, you know? So CPS3 then had the highest security level ever for an arcade board, was in that it required you to have a cartridge for the game, which I'm literally like right over here. You've got a cartridge for the game for Third Strike. Then you have a disc for the game for Third Strike. Both have to be simultaneously on the board and running at the same time. You can't have one without the other. And if you did, your board was at risk. However, over time, natural degradation led to a problem where even if you did have them both together, with age, it might still run the risk of suiciding itself and dying, so that nobody could nobody could clone the board, but also legitimate owners had a time limit that they could fucking use the board for. It wasn't designed to happen, but it was a hardware failure that resulted in everyone at some point having to call up Capcom hardware to be like, can you please repair my copy of Third Strike?
Yeah, they were guaranteed to die.
And
like over really relatively short period of time. And if you tried to take them apart to fucking clone the fucking board,
tampering, fuck off.
It would also die.
So the only way to deal with it was to literally send it back to them, and their arcade division would fix it and send it back to you. They'd repair it or replace it. And that was the state of CPS3 for a while. However, as you can imagine, that doesn't exactly go over well with other developers and other people trying to make games. And those 4 games were the only things that came out on the fucking thing, because that's insane. Right? Like that's ridiculous. People then moved on to other shit, and by that time Naomi was popping off anyways. And
of course, the best part, guys, we've made the most secure board ever. This thing loves to kill itself. Our games are so protected. What games? Oh, you mean these 4 complete fucking bombs?
So, yeah. Eventually, as you can imagine, with everything, Capcom Arcade Division announced that they weren't taking in repairs anymore, and that was the end of that. So modders and hardware enthusiasts found a way to resurrect dead boards with something called a Phoenix modification that, saved everyone's legitimate arcade copies of Third Strike. So it's ridiculous, and that's why that whole platform, well, that was one of the contributing factors to why CPS3 fucking died. Crazy. Anyway, don't make that mistake again. Now it's just Taito Type X2 for everything. So these games are coming out, and they will be able to live in a world with rollback, and yay for that.
Huzzah!
Huzzah.
We really just need another collection that just has all the rest. Just put out all of it with
rest.
This good net code. God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
Okay. Now, speaking of things dying and losing access to your shit, as of late March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make eShop purchases on the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS family of systems.
You hear that, everybody? Nintendo's saying it's okay to pirate.
Nintendo explicitly rolled out the red carpet and handed everyone at the door a complimentary eye patch and pirate hat. Yar.
Don't pirate these games. Okay, then can I buy them? No! There's Fire Emblem games that are going to be no longer available! Like, for fuck's sake!
The degree of Nintendo's hostility towards the concept of just archival video game access is so insane that the Video Game History Foundation wrote a statement about it, basically pointing out that while it's unfortunate people won't be able to purchase digital 3DS or Wii U games anymore, we understand the business reality that went into this decision. What we don't understand is the path Nintendo expects fans to take should they wish to play these games in the future. As a paying member of the Entertainment Software Association, Nintendo actively funds lobbies to prevent libraries from being able to provide legal access to these games. Not providing commercial access is understandable, but preventing institutional work to preserve these titles on top of that is actively destructive to the video game history. We encourage GSA members like Nintendo to rethink their position, yada, yada, yada. Like,
well, I mean, everyone knows exactly what their plan for you to play these games in the future is if they choose to re-release them in the future for some shitty online service, you'll have to buy them there.
yeah.
If they so choose.
Yeah. And the world's hands are well, they've never been tied when it comes to this stuff. It's just a matter of, again, sailing the fucking seven seas on it. But it's ridiculous. It never gets any less ridiculous to see them continue to just not give a fuck about erasing the entire history. You know, just making it like completely a non-question. And if you want to transition people over to the new eShop or whatever the fuck, then
have them all carry over.
Just make it an easy transition.
No,
you don't
fuck off.
If they carried over anyway and you got to go get them here now, it'd be like, yeah, okay, well, they're selling the new thing. It's understandable. Whatever.
I mean,
this is completely hostile to that. And it's full. It's always been like, you know, that kind of statement of like, yeah, no, it's you know, it's morally okay and to fucking pirate games that are just unavailable for any purpose whatsoever in this way. And it's like, yeah, and also they show no signs of stopping this behavior for everything they do.
I'm a big fan of Sterling's old video about why it's completely morally okay to pirate all Nintendo games. And if you're not familiar, it's because Sterling put like a 4-second clip of like a fucking Mario Kart game in one of their videos, and Nintendo claimed the entire video and took all the revenue for it, which is flagrant disrespect of fair use and copyright law, which means Nintendo doesn't actually care about copyright law, which means you shouldn't care about copyright law, which means it's okay to morally pirate Nintendo games. Now that is a bit circuitous.
Uh-huh.
It's minor, but I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot possibly tell you the legality of what I'm about to say, and it's probably not legal. But I think it's a fairly common understanding from the average person who engages in this kind of industry that if there is no longer any possible way to acquire something, there's literally no harm done to anyone, either morally or ethically, but maybe not legally, to acquire it yourself through extra legal means.
Yeah, the more continuously hostile they are towards this type of like process, this type of history for like anybody that like wants access to a game that and doesn't want it to not exist, the sillier it gets, and the more worried I am in the long run that, like, imagine if you're looking back at the history of video games after we're in whatever nth generation, and there is a period of time there's the beginning, like the actual beginning, and then there's the rebirth, post-Atari, new Nintendo, and then you go 4 or 5 generations up. Then you introduce the digital era, and then there's a dark period of games.
It's a weird
that you can't,
10-year gap.
Like, literally, like, the history of games disappears here because all this digital shit has been erased, and they never gave a fuck about bringing them back. They said, maybe we'll sell it to you one day.
Here's a good example. I think somebody in the chat pointed out that, like, one of the Persona Q games came out 2 years ago, and it was only digital.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, and also, here's the best part. DS and 3DS games are like uniquely designed to become obsolete because their aspect ratios and shit only exist on their own systems.
I mean,
it's almost like Nintendo putting out a handheld console that had a 3D gimmick that would only work on itself ever had something to do with this being planned for in the future.
Remember that feeling you'd get every time I said the word before crisis?
I did.
Just that for the entire library. For the entire console library. You know? Unique to the game's gimmicks of the 3D mechanic here, or the Wii U tablet fucking system there as well.
I was recently reminded that the 3DS Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask remakes have gyro aiming along with the 3D. This is a bit of an aside, but like, how are you supposed to do that?
Yeah. Well, if you're me, you spend a ridiculous amount of time going through every single option in the emulator and recreating like fuck that.
What?
At this point.
How what? I can't believe. Oh my god.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, whatever. We can. There's only so many times, So see you guys the next time this happens. Certainly. And Sony wasn't too far off the other day either.
See you guys when fucking Nintendo says that every game that comes out on its service only gets to live for 6 months.
I mean, the fucking WiiWare shit. Just like, what did you develop to? Oh, like your gaming resume can just be like 100 WiiWare games. Cause like, who the fuck can check?
I saw the point being made that not only because of the way Nintendo treats its preservation, but everything about Nintendo's games is like the perfect case for piracy as like a moral imperative. Their games don't go on sale or diminish in price.
Nope.
Ever. Because of this thing where they're going to turn off credit cards and stuff for the eShop, that some Nintendo games are going on an unprecedented 15% off sale.
Damn.
The highest discount ever. Like, it's ridiculous. Mario Kart 8 is not fucking worth full price now.
That's of the $50.99.
Breath of the Wild should be worth $8 now if it was on anything else.
But if we never crack, then they'll
then
never.
Then we'll steal it.
No. If we never crack, then they'll never think, oh, maybe they'll crack. They'll just go, no, Nintendo never cracks, and so we'll just bite the bullet. Or not. Hey, you know what Switch game looks great in 4K?
What's that? All of
them?
Yeah! Yeah!
I hate this. I hate that that's the answer. I legitimately hate that that's the answer.
I'm so glad that we just met right there. Oh.
All right. Well, anyway, what else is going on?
Hey, I got to take a break. I got to take Poochie out, and I got to take myself out as well.
BRB. Okie doke.
What else is new in the world aside from that shit? But let's ignore that.
A lot of fighting game announcements came right afterwards as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, quite a few things.
I didn't notice.
So, well, and some of it before as well. But, yeah, when they announced some time ago that they were bringing rollback to Blaze Blue, they also announced rollback was coming to Cross Tag Battle. So
Wow, that's
Tag.
almost all the way there on the back catalog.
Mm-hmm. BB Tag is getting rollback in April, but the public test begins on February 23rd.
That is what is left. Fucking Grand Blue.
Fist of the North Star.
Do you think this is the kind of thing where they're putting these in and then seeing the sales go up so they can convince fucking Toei or whoever is cock blocking the shit for DBZ to do the DBZ?
I think it will be a definitively difficult argument to resist when they show you everything else we made experienced a massive resurgence when we fixed the online. Can you please allow us to fix Dragon Ball? I think so. Because you know what else is happening this week?
What's that?
Lab Coat Android 21 has been released. Or rather, that we got a trailer for the new character.
If the Dragon Ball Z Fighters gets the rollback, that game gets to be the new Marvel 3 forever.
It just added a new character. It's like it's actively still going. They're promoting it. They care. But the ridiculous nightmare.
It's a good game.
Also, she looks great. She looks super cool. Yep. And Lab Coat Supremacy forever. Fuck y'all cowards. Also, references to a bunch of shit with her attacks. I think there was a I mean, besides there's like a fucking full-on Kamen Rider pose after she does like her level 3. There's
there is. There's a Dio pose.
There's a Dio pose there, and there's appropriately enough an Android 16 giant self-destruct explosion reference as well. So, hell yeah. She's looking cool, and that's exactly it. I think it becomes a lot harder for ArcSys, or rather for everyone involved with the Bandai and Toei side of things, to look at every other game ArcSys has and go like, look, we did it to everything before and after Dragon Ball, and everyone's happy, and it's all great. Literally, just let us do this. Like,
yeah, and the way you do it is you drop the price 50% and call it rollback weekend, so that you have these graphs that have these fucking spikes on them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you get to say stupid shit like, when we added the new internet to it, the sales increased 6,000%.
The line went up. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But either way, if you want to jump in on the public network test for that, BB Tag on the 23rd, do it. It's not quite the Persona characters you love, but
boy, is it not.
But there's something going on with the game. It has the closest system to controlling two people at once, in a reasonable manner, I would say, compared to like Marvel 1 and Infinite. With the Marvel Infinite is like the back and forth, but then there's like you don't fully control. It's just like a shitty AI pattern. And then Marvel 1, it's just like literally simultaneous inputs. But in BB Tag, to their credit, you use the tag button to do multiple things with your second character at the same time as moving your first around. Your brain, it actually has to fucking split. It's impressive. So that was announced, and then, because why the fuck not, Akatsuki Blitzkampf, EN-EINS Perfektwelt Anastasis has been announced
What?
for the
Why did
arcade.
people tag me in this announcement? I genuinely don't understand.
I don't know, because that's you. I'm the one you need to be tagging in that.
Yeah, you were also tagged, but like, what am I doing being tagged in this
I don't
shit?
know.
I don't fucking know about no Akatsuki Blitzcamp.
Here's what you need to know. Katsuki Blitzkampf is a fucking really
Fuck
fun
off.
game. It's a fun game, and then they updated it with a version that nerfed a bunch of cool shit that was wacky, and it was like, damn, why'd you do that? We liked it when it was crazier. And then there was another one that's still kind of crazy again. It was like, okay, it's back to being kind of crazy. And then now there's a new version coming out, and that is awesome, because for those who don't know, this is the one with the Nazis.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the one.
You might have seen the trailer for Cross Tag when suddenly the Blitz tank was gonna show up, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Is that a tank with a skull on it? It's like,
Sure
yep.
is.
So yeah, it's the one with the Nazis, and it's good. It's really fun. I can't wait. Fritz is my main. Plays like a Sam Show character in the middle of a non-Sam Show game. That on its own has my interest, no matter what the series does. Hell yeah. Shoutouts to our protagonist, who works for the Imperial Army, but like secretly was a double agent possibly for the Germans, and then I think he gets frozen, literally Captain America style, and then defrosted years later as like the other side of the as the Axis Cap type thing, but secretly not really. Fuck it, doesn't matter. Blitz tank.
This whole thing,
It's
this
all you
whole
need.
thing just reeks with SS uniforms are unironically stylish and cool villain looks. So I want to make a character or characters with that aesthetic, but that is a little touchy, isn't it?
Snazzy dressers, sure. You can't listen to me. If you walk into the art room of a mangaka who's in the middle of putting an armband on one of their characters and go, stop it, they will fight you if you try to take their pencil away
weird
from
because
them.
Japan didn't give up on the armbands.
The armband still continues. It does.
And also, Japan has its own problem. Rhino Kuzunoha looks cool as shit. That's the fucking Imperial Army uniform.
Yep.
That also bad uniform, but has a hat and a little cape.
Remember in 13 Sentinels when the dude was in the uniform and you were like, damn, he looks pretty sharp. Yep. Well, anyway. It's a good fighting game. And it's getting an update and a new version. I'm excited to see what that means. That's not the only small fighter getting an announcement. Omen of Sorrow, the fucking fighter from way back when that was it was all about monsters and horror themed stuff. This one you probably wouldn't remember because there's a couple of like monster horror themed, but it was a thing that was at Evo, and then I think we might have played like a 2 or 3 character build version of it. Yeah, it's just a horror themed fighting game, and it was all right. You know, it felt okay. There was some polish that needed to be done, and it looks like they've been working on it for the last fucking 3 years or so, and it's now coming to Switch and PS5. So yeah,
cool.
Check that out if you want.
Is Richter in it?
No, Richter's not in it.
Oh, okay.
That's also coming out on February 24th. So, very busy weekend. Very, very busy weekend.
I'll say it again. I'll literally say it again. In my entire career of talking to community managers and PR people, I have never spoken to one, let alone 2 CMs who have told me we are getting out of the way of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Blunt, flat, never. It's hilarious. So anyone who's releasing this week or next week has fucking huge balls.
Damn, really, Wooly, you're really selling me on this game? It's not my fucking job to sell you. Go
It
look at it if
is
you
a
think.
little.
I'm
You're
gonna
a
play it
cartoon
because I
commercial.
yes, I'm gonna play it when we get a chance to on the channel, just because I want to see how the game's doing. But fucking look it up yourself if you're interested. Fuck off. Omen of Sorrow, and then yes, that was that, and then Android 21, and that was the end of the fighting game news. Then we from out of fucking nowhere, and I'm gonna refer to you on this one. Prequel to Daymare 1998. Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. What the fuck do you know about Daymare?
Daymare, if I remember correctly, was supposed to be the Unreal Engine Hire This Man Resident Evil fucking 2 remake that Capcom went, no. Come on. So they went, okay, we're going to make our own game, Daymare 1998, because 98 is the year that Resident Evil 2 takes place. And I was recommended it because it's cool. And then I went to play it, and it has one of the shittiest controls and worst looks of any of the horror games I've ever played. But it is trying to do it. And if they were, I did not hear about Daymare 1994. If it was Daymare 1994, that would make it closer to Resident Evil 1 or Alone in the Dark, even. Specifically,
so there was
Alone in the Dark 3.
There's a spark of effort and promise.
There is a genuine spark of love here that is not enough to overwrite the howling wind of incompetence.
Well, it's getting a prequel. Yeah. There's a demo coming out today. So check that out if you want to know. Name
Daymare is the kind of game that would have come out on day 23 of a shitstorm.
Right. And in
if
fact,
that means anything to anybody.
Well, so when I heard the name, when I saw that, I was like, didn't you guys talk about this at some point during a shitstorm? I feel like I heard you talk about Daymare at some point a couple years ago. So
probably.
Yeah. So Daymare 1994, and then a trailer for Soul Hackers 2.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Where the fuck did that come from? Soul Hackers, now no longer available due to the 3DS library.
So here comes Soul Hackers 2.
Want to brush up on what happened in Soul Hackers 1? Better go play it on PlayStation.
Don't worry, gang. We'll hack these Digimon.
So, as someone who is still nascent and learning when it comes to the expanded SMT universe,
don't worry too much about it.
I'm not. Quite clearly, I'm not. But when something drops like this, I go, right, okay, I've heard of that spin-off franchise. It does not look, because like, you know how all those old SMT games are like doing the first-person hallway thing? Mm-hmm. I don't imagine this is going to be doing that anymore.
Well, no, it's
this is
you're running around town. This honestly looks like a sequel to fucking Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
I mean, bunch of colorful characters hanging out, doing the fight. So it's just like moving any of these franchises forward far enough, and the first person aspects just get fucking tossed away.
Hey, somebody asks a question. Why is this even called Soul Hackers? It looks like TMS. That's because they don't care what the fucking franchise is. They just want to make the game and then they put the franchise label on it.
Well, there you go. Was Strange Journey the last first person?
I believe it was.
Okay.
No,
Well, because
no.
Apocalypse
No. It was
has
Apocalypse.
moments. Yeah, Apocalypse has moments, right? But like
The battles are in first person.
yeah, that's why. But it's not the whole thing, you know. But it harkens back in some aspects to it.
The game looks really good, and it's
Okay.
it kind of kills me when I look at this trailer and I'm like, wow, this looks immaculate compared
Persona
to
Q2. Okay.
what should be the standout SMT5 because it's on a PS4 and a PS5 and it's not a jagged fucking poorly running piece of shit looking game.
Soul Hackers fans,
You know what
rejoice.
game looks great in 4K?
What?
SMT5.
You know what's awesome about it in 4K too? It
What's
also
that?
supports rollback.
That's what? What? Oh, really? What? That's crazy.
For the non-multiplayer feature. Yeah. So sequel. Sure.
To an ancient, forgotten game.
On the 3DS.
Oh, I think it's actually older than that.
No, it is. It's from PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
But they brought it back on 3DS and now they've killed that. So it's like fuck off. It's the perfect opportunity to just, anyway.
I want to give a shout out to genuinely this Soul Hackers trailer for taking a lot of classic SMT designs and just throwing a couple extra colors on them.
Sure.
It's nice. Colors are good.
So speaking of throwing a couple extra colors on it, I'm trying to avoid as much as I can, seeing as I'm about to dive right in. But some footage of the FF6 pixel remaster has revealed that there is an opera scene with vocals in 7 languages.
Oh wow, they're vocalizing it? That's crazy.
And there's a screenshot of the scene with some voxel-like 3D happening with a girl on a castle while she's singing. So it looks like they're actually doing the triangle strategy-esque, like full-on voxel 3D updates to the game. That's way more aggressive of an update than I thought these pixel remasters were doing. It's the HD 2D thing can range clearly from anywhere from the previous pixel remasters to Octopath and Triangle Strategy. But what they just put out today is like they're adding vocals to this opera thing, and there's full-on 3D scenes.
FF6 gets more.
Okay.
That's all I could say. It's like okay. FF6 gets and deserves more.
It gets to get more. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's more special than the priors. Got it.
Yeah. It just is.
It's funny. I was looking over my shelf yesterday, and I pulled out a copy of Final Fantasy Chronicles, the collection that has Chrono Trigger PlayStation port on it, as well as FF6, and I remember, of course, the infamous problems with Chrono Trigger because it added loading where there was none.
Oh, dude, it's such a bad fucking port. Like, oh.
And ultimately, it's like you trade it off for some animated cutscenes that are cool, but it's a much more frustrating game to play. Was that the same with the port of 6?
Yep, same exact thing. It's because it's a disc instead of cartridge.
Okay, but
that's all it is.
Did they add animated cutscenes to that version too?
They added a CG cutscene at the start.
Okay. Huh. Well, yeah.
The PlayStation 1 versions of all those games are bad.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, I mean, fucking go back to the PS1 versions of KOF, and you have loading between rounds as each character has to jump in. It's fucking painful. It's one of the most painful things ever. I think it's like 96 or 97 that you can play on PS1, and like you not KO somebody, and then you have to wait like 30 seconds for your next partner to jump in.
That sounds great.
Yeah. All right. So we got some huge overhauls and updates for 6 then. I hope
Deserves
that
it.
I hope that they're overhauls that people don't like hate, since this is what I'm committing to.
They've been pretty well received so far, aside from the font. But a font mod will be out within like hours.
Okay.
Literally, it's just the font looks like a mobile game font. That's it.
Well, when Min explained that, like, it's literally the exact same artist that did the original pixel art, just improving their work years later. It's like, that is as respectful as you can get.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine anything else. Like, yeah. Okay. And then lastly over here, we've got the Final Fantasy XIV outline for the next 10 years. Live letter, graphical update, patch 6.x series roadmap. This is a
I'm
big,
curious
big
as to what
honking
you
article.
have down there, because I think the easiest way is for you to just roll it down and for me to detail the bits that need elaboration.
Yeah, so there's a literal timeline starting from 2010 that follows all the way till Endwalker launched on December 7th. And then it goes into Yoshida detailing the next 10 years of what they plan to do with the game, starting with 7.0.
Yeah. One of the more interesting things is every time he talks about this, people are like, are you quitting? Are you leaving? And like unironically out loud said, I would have to die to come off this project.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. He's like, I plan for this to be my life's work.
Holy shit. I mean, the fact that he loves and plays it, like, is a great sign for that dedication. But the idea of someone having this ability and being a creative type that does not want to then try other shit is insane. That's so nuts.
Yeah,
like, every
he
creator
also
wants to
said
try
that,
out
like,
new things.
He's basically also said that if the CEO tries to change it, he would like fight him. Like, fight him.
That's crazy.
He's not, because it's, you know, it's been this long time thing with a lot of franchises that like somebody comes along and is the driving personal force behind it and brings it into a certain state. Like, let's say Kojima with Metal Gear, right? If Kojima left Metal Gear, what do you get? You get Survive, right? So people get nervous when the head leaves or the core team leaves, and every time, every 2 years at least, he says basically you would have to stab me to get me to leave this office.
Okay, but clearly at some point probably it will be, okay, dude, it's time to work on the literal next game that will just be the sequel to this one.
I don't know. They did that with 11, and for a good portion of 14's life, that was a mistake.
No. but there cannot not be an endpoint. Like, if the game industry, I imagine, if the
Wooly, when did World of Warcraft come out?
MMOs can work in decade-long scale.
Yeah,
they can work in decade-long scale. But like, isn't there just a point where like the weight of the engine itself is just not going to be able to handle what can be done?
So that's one of those things. And this is kind of what we're talking about today, is they are taking they're taking resources to address technical debt on the engine.
Okay.
And when PS4 gets deprecated, they're going to deal with some more of that technical debt. And they're basically always working on the tech debt of this old engine. And this old engine is now a fucking Frankenstein freak. Like, they added DirectX 11 support, and that was nuts.
Just, I mean, you understand that, like, I feel like, I don't know. I'm always, like I said, I'm always new to this. So my assumptions, I'm well, you know, prepared to be, like, way off on. But, like, the world will, and, like, like, computers and tech and what's going on, like, things will change in such a degree at some point in our lifetimes that it has to become a weird legacy thing at some point.
Okay, so
30 years from now? Like, what?
I'm going to give you a very quick rundown of this. You say that at some point it has to become a weird legacy issue. You're right. That point was 6 years ago. This game has always had weird legacy technology. From the very first day A Realm Reborn came out, they were taking Q&As and people were asking shit like, if I have my Chocobo out, why can't I queue for Duty Finder? And the answer is because your Chocobo is being listed internally as a party member. And if you're in a party, you can't queue for a roulette because it says there's 2 people in the solo queue. And then fucking 16 months later, they fixed that. Okay? And then they made it so that a Chocobo doesn't count as a party member on the field a year later. So you can have 8 people in a party and 8 Chocobos out. And little things like that. Every part of this game has been spaghettied forward. And every expansion, they don't tell us about it, but they have like a couple guys in the back just fucking with it and cleaning it up. There's a glamour plate system in the game where you assign looks to plates that you can equip so you can change between, I want this outfit or this outfit. That took like 3 years of Frankensteining bullshit behind the scenes because of the way the original glamour system had been designed from one item to the next.
I just saw something that cuts through all of this even to establish the point. FF11 is still getting updates.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. That's enough for me. Now,
granted, those updates are few and far between.
But that is enough for me to go, okay, no, MMOs are different. They last forever, and they don't change, and that's it. Okay.
So, but you are right.
That's crazy compared to every other genre. But they're different. They're not the same thing.
Massive old engine problem. It's constant. They literally talk about it every 2 or 3 months because they get Q&As that are like, how come this doesn't work like a real fucking video game? And they go, listen, this thing is built on bullshit. There was a fucking logout bug with Endwalker that they were only able to diagnose with fan help using sys tools to look at the goddamn traffic, and discovered that it was a network bug with the login screen dating all the way back to the beta of 1.0 that just never got fucking fixed.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Yeah. So yes, you're completely right. It is an ongoing, constant battle. And
the other thing, though, is that, like, one, clearly, like, so if this were some wild indie bullshit community run situation like Grawl, I'd be like, oh yeah, that'll run forever because fucking people are yucking it up, having fun with this ancient thing, right?
Yeah.
But even when the technical aspect is removed from the equation, my brain also assumes that anything with a corporation influencing its like decisions is going to also want to push new product at some point. you know?
Mhm.
And so the idea of like an everlasting game on on
Oh,
any platform is anti corporate interest to just the, and it's a subscription model for sure.
yeah.
But I just I feel like that's the other thing, is to like at some point to like push a new thing, because
They
like
did. It's called Endwalker.
yeah, well, a brand new whole thing from the top. But
What does it
MMOs are
matter? It
different.
sold millions of copies and still brings in $15 a month from every single person that plays.
Yes.
Like,
No. I get it. I get it now. Now I understand. Like MMOs are not the same thing as anything else. They're completely different. This is a different.
now
thing.
there will be a time at some point where they will have to change engines, right? And that is the time when like the crystal tools, whatever bullshit they're using, becomes like incompatible with like modern computing. But
Because
that's far away.
Because I imagine that if you take like most companies, giant game companies, and most games that have a very still active, long lasting online community, but maybe not necessarily one that pays monthly, you're going to find a point where they're like, time to sell it again, right? Time
But
to
they
move it
do.
forward. Um, Now, like, does everything with a subscription then kind of have this like literally an infinite tail end, like
If it's good.
possibility? Yeah.
If it's good or it has inertia. So WoW currently, I would say that most people would say that it's not that great. But what it has is inertia. And that inertia is time spent, and it's also social. Right? It's outside of itself. Right? Think of how long people were playing Third Strike. Now, you didn't have to buy a new copy of Third Strike, but people played fucking Third Strike for 10 extra years.
Oh yeah. Oh no! Make no mistake. There's no part of this that I think is the player like not being willing to play the same thing. I mean, I do that myself. We spent all day talking about like how much we love the old thing.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that like at a corporate level, the willingness to just let a thing stay for literally forever, and a
Dude,
person
it's the
who's
most
running
profitable thing Square Enix makes. It pays for everything else Square Enix makes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's running on bullshit. Why not just keep it going?
Because they tend to not follow the ideal in many cases of if it's broke, don't fix it. A lot of the times,
They
like,
could have kept going with
the greed-
FF11.
right?
And they're like, no, we're going to make 14. And that was a disaster.
Yeah. Okay. No, I understand what I did not understand before this. I can see that it's like it's okay. No, this is also it's also something where they've cornered out WoW and everyone else. So this unique example is also very particular for this company, because I don't know if the same could be said of like I don't know. So the same could be said of something like EVE Online, which has insane lifelong players, you know, but maybe not for something like Guild Wars, which has the like no subscription, but you got to buy the new thing every now and then.
So
right?
let me break it down for you. Okay, in a completely different example. Why do they release a Madden every year?
Oh, because they can sell a new copy to a sucker.
Right, and Madden doesn't have any subscriptions, right? It's just Madden.
Yeah, it's a roster update.
Okay, well, guess what? There is less difference between each individual copy of Madden than there is in the patches of 14, which makes Madden a $6 a month subscription game.
Mm-hmm. There's fake features that often get introduced, like, oh, you can now stiff arm with the C stick, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's whatever, you know, like, yeah.
Right. And they don't feel the need to make a new Madden. They say they are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not been true for like fucking 20 years.
And they treat the covers like Sports Illustrated covers as well. You know,
yeah.
Like there's a whole thing to that.
About the 10-year plan and the tech debt and all that stuff, literally this live letter addressed the elephant in the room. So I read pretty much every interview I can get my hands on about this game. And going back to Stormblood, there were a couple questions about, hey, dude, this game came out in 2013, and it's 2017 now. It's starting to look a little rough. Are you guys ever gonna put better graphics or maybe textures? And the response was generally, we know we'll someday have to increase that, but we're still supporting older consoles, so that'll be far in the future. Then, before Shadowbringers, they get asked, hey, it's now 2019. Are you guys thinking about updating the graphics for the future? Like World of Warcraft changed its character models, or EverQuest put out a texture pack. And they say, not right now, but we are well aware that at some point the graphics will have to change. And we have people on the team actively looking into the feasibility. Right? And you go, okay. Endwalker comes out, and the same questions get asked, and now the answer is, I don't have anything to talk about.
Okay.
Because the live letter set for 3 months after the end of Endwalker is, okay, guys, we are going to be updating the graphics. Now, there are two problems with the graphics in FF14 in terms of updating them. Number one is the fucking characters have a maximum resolution that can be applied to them. That has been a technical issue going back. Like, you can see it on characters that are very detailed, like the Crystal X art. There are literally only a certain amount of pixels that the engine will allow to be displayed on them, right? So that clearly has been fixed or is in the process of being fixed. The second of which, and this is the biggest problem by far, is that Yoshi P answered in an interview before Shadowbringers, listen, we understand that you want to increase the textures. However, we didn't make high-res textures and then scale them down for the models. We made 512 by 512 textures. There is no higher level master to just slap on.
Mm-hmm.
The textures have literally always just been made at this size.
With an upper limit, yeah.
So we will have to make new ones. And that's a lot. Well, they're doing it, and they're saying, well, it's not going to take, it's going to be...
How big is the art team? Yeah.
It's going to be in steps. So, Willie, I'm going to send you a photo. I don't know if you've seen any of the photos that they showed off.
Yeah, I'm looking at the article.
No, I want you to look at the photo I sent you, not the article.
That's the one at the top of the article.
No, it's not. The one that I sent you, yes. The one that I sent you was the first screenshot they pulled up of a photorealistic style Unreal Engine 4 Midlander with pores and sweat, and he looks gross. And then they said, this is not what we want to do.
Okay.
They actually did the hire this man
and then said
Unreal,
we're not doing
and
it.
And then was like, no.
So like they
showed
the alloy facial fluff hair.
Yeah.
And then went nuh-uh.
And then they went okay, and then they showed off comparative images of keeping the same art style. It's a little cleaned up. The shaders on the eyes are a lot nicer, stuff like that. The thing about it, they're like, okay, so we're gonna start with the most popular. So all the characters that your player can be, they're gonna get updated. All the most popular pieces of gear that people wear, they're gonna get updated first. And they said basically that the game is maybe going to start to look like, this is my paraphrase, it's going to start looking like a Yakuza game in which you can start to tell what NPCs are important because they're going to look a full generation ahead in graphics. There are going to be characters that they're just not going to get to on the first pass. Just not going to get to. There's gear that's just not going to get hit on the first pass. It's probably going to take like a year and a half.
The side-by-side comparisons of the old and new looks I mean, it looks like lighting changes more than like texture changes, but like
So
the
they're
originals are
updating.
being held on a gray background, admittedly.
So they're doing a texture change, and the main thing is the resolution,
Hmm.
more so than they're trying to keep the NPC stuff exactly the same. They're going to be doing the resolution. They're going to be doing a lot of lighting stuff. They
The
figured out how to add
grass,
more light.
though,
The grass. He
touch
actually
it.
tells a really great story about the grass, because the grass is a really dramatic improvement.
Hmm.
In Endwalker, there's a couple scenes, and if you've seen the Endwalker trailer, there's a couple scenes that have to do with flowers and groups of
Mm-hmm.
flowers. And the grass is auto-generated. And when they were building it, there were a couple scenes in which Yoshi P was looking at it, and the auto-generated grass would be fucking hideous, and it would be like 1 inch from the fucking lens of the camera.
Mm.
And he was like, just disable the grass. Literally disable it for this shot. Get it out of here. It looks like shit. So one of the big ups is like, okay, the auto-generated grass shit is going to be next on the docket. Then they're going to be doing something called a displacement map, it looks like, where they're going to add more details, more clutter to various areas. Just an overall nicening.
So I guess then to reinvent my question from the top, what is it possible that, like, looking at this whole roadmap from 2010 version 1.0 all the way up to now, the fucking thing is serving to 25 million people. Clearly that is enough of a reliable cash cow that you're going to want to sit on and not fuck up. Is it a situation where he himself has held back bullshit additions and attempts to, like, extra monetize and fuck up the thing himself, possibly?
Oh, perfect example. Do you know what the very first thing said on this live stream was? It was a minor news story. During the mic check, they're like, by the way, we're never going to add NFTs to this game. Stop asking.
Okay.
Literally the first thing.
Because it's like I hear the like, it's a thing that everybody likes and it's static and it'll last forever until he dies. I hear that. But fucking corporation is going to do whatever it can, anywhere it can, on the thing that everyone is paying attention to. And the urge to not fuck it up is something that most of the time a boardroom cannot resist. You know?
Nah, the guy's got, I forget what he is, but he's like he's not just the director and producer of this. He's not just the director of 16. I think he has a third role as some executive.
Is he also on the board type of thing?
I believe he is.
Yeah, okay. Because
Like
that Inafune level where he's
a vice president.
Okay.
And he's on the board. So yeah, he has the clout to just shut everybody the fuck down.
Okay.
And his division makes the most money out of all the divisions. So he's good for now.
So he's also simultaneously involved with 16?
Yeah, and so is some of the Heavensward team.
Jesus Christ.
I believe, and no, this hasn't been. So the writer of Heavensward is writing 16, and no one can confirm this, but Final Fantasy 14 players listen to a lot of Final Fantasy 14 music while they're playing Final Fantasy 14, and I can tell you with a certain certainty that that's Soken doing the music as well. And I believe people are saying that Koji Fox is also doing some of the English on it. So like it's you want a Final Fantasy
who's also said that this is, didn't he say, the composer say, like, this is his life project?
Oh yeah, 100%.
As well, like fucking
and
hundreds of songs, and yeah, okay.
For a bit there, it was literally going to be his life's work.
Well, yeah.
When he was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the technical debt and this, like, yeah, no, they're working on it. This next expansion is going to be, We're working on the bullshit way that characters are shown, the way shaders work, the way shadows work, and this is stuff that is currently not in the engine. They're bolting onto it. And it looks nice. They said they're maintaining, they're trying to make it so that your character changes their appearance as little as possible. It's had this weird effect when, you know, character models get updated in MMO. Occasionally your character turns into garbage. Like the eyebrows change or the ears change, and you're like, oh wow, this looks like shit.
See, the other thing that projects like this are vulnerable to is like, if you're a console player, at some point when the console dies / when they kill the online capabilities of that, you are forced to play on PC.
No, you're not. You're forced to buy the new console.
And then play the port over to that.
Yep.
When they do that, yeah, okay.
PS3 to PS4 to PS5, so far.
Wow, yeah, okay.
Speaking of that, they actually said that they're going to work very hard to optimize this for PS4, and they're going to make it so that it doesn't break your computer. But if it does, you can turn it off. So that's nice.
That's... Damn. You can, like, people can literally boot up a PS3, and someone can boot up a PS4, and someone can boot up a PS5, and you can all be...
Oh, no. PS3 and PS5's use of the game never overlapped.
Oh, okay.
The way that it works is that PS3 gets deprecated. I forget when it was. I think it was Stormblood. And then PS5 comes out, and then they put out a port for PS5 halfway between a expansion cycle, and then they will deprecate the PS4 probably in 2.5 years.
Okay,
like the next expansion will likely be PS4's last.
So then the console things are still like limited by the consoles themselves. The PC is the only one that's actually a forever game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And they actually killed the Mac version entirely, which is kind of a bummer. But oh well. Wow. So that's all that graphics stuff, which is nice. But there was other stuff in there of note to people that don't currently play FF14.
Let's see here. Large-scale updates to the trust system, trust compatibility for all main scenario dungeons and 4-player trials to be added at 6.1 to 6.5.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there. That is written for people that already play FF14. For people that don't play FF14, trusts is a system in which you go, I don't want to play with humans. Give me some robots to clear this dungeon. And they will help you clear the dungeon. Basically, what they're saying is that over the next 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe on the next expansion, they're going to start adding enough AI-controlled support for everything mandatory in the entire game.
Make it a single-player game.
So that outside of optional shit, you will have a single-player game for yourself to play, with very rare exceptions.
That's pretty smart.
They've said that they want to improve it as a multiplayer game, and that's obvious. I mean, it's an MMO. But they also want to make it so that people who don't want to play an MMO but do want to play FF14 will be able to play FF14 as a single-player game.
Yeah, because, I mean, the way, like, everyone has talked about this is definitely one where it's like, even if you're anti, like, MMO, or not anti, but, like, even if you're, like, MMO kryptonite, it's like, yeah, but the plot, though, right? So.
Now, somebody in the chat says, why not just play an actual single-player game at that point? Because I want to play this one because it's good, bro. Also, and this is interesting, to people who already... I'm at the end of Endwalker, right? What do I care if the old stuff is single-player? Well, actually, there's a bunch of characters that they're going to add back into these things that I want to see what the fuck they say in dungeons. I want more excuses to hang out with characters like Hori Boulder and Kultane. I want Harshafan to come with me on the level 57 dungeon. for obvious reasons to everyone in the chat or who's listening to this at home, has done the level 57 dungeon.
Is this the only game that has announced and actually adhered to a 10-year roadmap?
Yes. Destiny's coming up in 18 months.
Again, I always assume somewhere out there, some people are huddled in a dark room with EVE Online burnt onto their monitors, like reading some updates and freaking the fuck out over whatever's getting dropped. You know? I always assume there's always someone ready to fucking put that fucking cloak you're wearing on and play some EVE.
Yeah, they've been really blunt every time an expansion comes out, and like, hey, how far ahead do you guys plan the story? And they're like, we have the story planned more or less out to 6.0, and they've been saying that since like Stormblood. So 6.0 is what just happened.
Okay.
And that was like 4.5 years ago.
Bathroom, hold that thought.
Uh-oh.
All right. We're good.
Thumbs up.
All
All right. Yeah, there's gonna be a point at some point in the next couple of years where the announcement's gonna come down. Hey, gamers, do you not want to play an MMO, but you want to play the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy 14 with the free access up to level 80 with the critically acclaimed Shadowbringers expansion, like whatever the fuck it is at that point. As a single player game, yeah, you can do it. There's no excuse now. Shut up.
I mean, if one were to play it as a single player game, beat it, and then stop until the next thing dropped, like, you could do that in a month, couldn't you?
I'm sorry, what?
If you
think you could get through...
I don't know.
Okay. If you're Hinronobu Sakaguchi, you can mainline FF14 on your vacation if fucking Matsuno is willing to carry you through dungeons in about 60 days. If all you do all day is have classic Final Fantasy design team members drag you through the story as fast as possible.
Okay. I'm
By the
assuming...
way, shout out to Sakaguchi. He's like, I'm done with this game. I'm going on vacation. What about that FF14? And he caught up to fucking Endwalker in like 50 days.
I'm assuming that, like, with that whole AI thing, there's a whole lot of, optional and side things that, like, you would choose to do or not do. Like,
I don't know what you are saying.
Okay. The feature rolled out here is for if people want to play the game with
By
AI
themselves.
instead of with... Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there a giant list of mainline quests and then a giant list of side quests, and that you can go
quests?
through this
I got
not...
you. Side quests, main quests, quests in general are all solo as of right now. All of them.
Okay.
The only thing that's not is Dungeons and Trials, which is a 4-man or an 8-man. Dungeons and Trials are the things that are going to have trusts added to them, which is it fills your party up for the dungeon and or boss fight.
And do Dungeons and or Trials, are those a part of the mainline story
Yes.
things? Okay.
So you have to go through Ifrit, then you got to go through Titan, then you got to go through Garuda, etc., etc. Now, there's a couple things that will never happen with this. There's an alliance raid called Crystal Tower, which is mandatory, and Crystal Tower requires 24 people.
Okay.
However, Crystal Tower is a joke even right now. Like, you can literally floor tank it, be dead the whole way through, and people will carry you through it.
Okay.
I mean, that would be kind of lame, but you'll be fine.
At some point, you're gonna start running into people who are, well, if they played the whole game with no other humans, then you won't run into them. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did my volume get quiet? Am I quieter than I was before I left?
Not to me, but I don't know about them.
Okay. Well, that means there's no device change, so that's good. All right.
Hey, somebody in the chat points out something really good. Problem is, you'd never learn your job, though. Don't worry, buddy. There are people who have cleared every single piece of content in their game and are still trash. There is almost no overlap between what the game forces you to do and what actually comes out at the end. It's almost entirely due to player intention. Do you care? Then you'll get good. Do you not care? Then you'll be bad.
As we've just talked about with Sifu, progress does not necessarily indicate skill.
That's true. That is
there's
true.
A bare minimum, and then there's, doing it right.
But yeah, they're making the game fancy nice, and they're going to make it so that you can play it as a single-player game, which is, for an MMO, really ambitious.
Does the price ever go up?
No. In fact, the way that it works, so you know how MMOs get this weird problem of like, how many expansions am I buying, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Right. The way FF14 does it is kind of weird. When you buy FF14 and go, I want to play FF14 and I don't want the free trial, I would like to purchase this. You get every single expansion except for the one that just came out.
Okay. So you're always buying at least the latest thing.
So if you were buying FF14 right now off the store and not Endwalker, you would get a Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. And you would not have Endwalker.
Okay.
And then you would go buy Endwalker. So the price to get in to the game
has been minimized like as much as possible, and it's always the same. It's one update plus the whole thing.
Yeah, you get the game, and then you play through it, and you go, if you hit the fucking ass end of that and go, oh, I would actually really like to continue going into the new expansion, grab the new expansion.
Cool.
And that is $60, and it's called the complete whatever. People are saying they just added Endwalker to that.
Okay.
So,
Well, there you
so it's $60 to all of it.
go. The price of a Nintendo game. Let's take.
Yeah. Oh wow. Isn't that crazy?
Let's take some letters.
Hey. Wow, I didn't even. Oh, that's good. That's real good. That's real good. If you you want to send in a letter, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Right. Here's one coming in from Rod. Says, "Hey, Pudge Dad and Grappler Orb, with 15 coming out, KOF 15 I'm coming out. I'm faced once again with my biggest goblins character crisis. So bad it keeps me up at night. The characters are cool and fun to play, and I spend upwards of months torturing myself trying to pick a main team, especially if it's especially worse for team games because I have so many more options.
Yeah.
Have you ever liked so many characters that you felt that you had a severe case of character crisis that it keeps you from actually playing?
Absolutely, and I play all of them until I figure out which ones I'm complete trash at, and then stop playing those ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going through it right now, but there is, it depends on how much you care. Like, if you're just playing, to just pick the ones you like and have fun with that, um, this is less relevant. But if you want to, like, also kind of get a bit better at the game, one thing that might help you if you're having a team crisis is to look at the positions that characters are generally useful in, right? So KOF has a bunch of characters, but they serve different purposes. Some of them are good as anchors that you use last on the team, who are going to be really really high damaging, but they use a lot of meter, right? So a good anchor is going to also need someone who is someone who's a battery, who will build all that meter, who you can use to without spending a ton of EXs and stuff like that for your anchor. And then there's other types. So if the characters you like can complement each other by fitting into the different archetypes of, like, anchor, battery, control, middle, and or in some cases there's like any slot characters as well. That can help you by, like, just eliminating redundant things. If you have a team of 3 anchors, you're probably gonna notice that you'll have a harder time getting stuff done with them. So it's a thing you can consider. To get a good idea of that, I think you could just Google KOF 15 character positions to see, like, the current discussion of that, and then, like, you can see where they break down, because there's tier lists and then there's, like, just recommendations for what each person's job should be. KOF should probably consider telling you that, because it does matter in the end. You'll notice some people will often put X first or X last because of that. Like Ralph, who I love, I've always played him anchor anyway because he's my main. But in this game especially, he is part of why he's so good is because if you have meter to use with him, you can melt anybody. But with no meter, you don't get to do that as easily.
Just put Cell in the back, dude.
So
just put Cell in the back.
Yeah, just Google character positions and function KOF 15, and then you'll see the list, and it has the roster grouped up, and then you can start thinking about, like, okay, one for each slot to complement your team.
Alternatively, just get really good at every character.
Well, yeah, but even then, you still have to pick. Let's take one over here from Kason, who says, greetings, getting into the woolly holes and patsters at Orb. I was wondering, do you guys have games that you've played once and have no desire to go back to? Not that the game is bad, but the whole thing was a tight, well-wrapped-up experience that you don't want to unwrap again. I asked because I finally bought Death Stranding Director's Cut, and after playing a little bit of the new content, I realized there wasn't a lot keeping me there. Most of what I was seeing was stuff I'd done before, and it didn't really hit me like the second time as it did the first. Compared it to big movies like Pearl Harbor or Titanic, where they're great with a lot of handiwork and labor, but it takes a labor to revisit them, and you're not going to be as immersed as you were the first time. Maybe one day I'll play Director's Cut Death Stranding, but yeah, I'm happy with the memories I already made with it. I relate to that for some things. I cannot get the energy to go through P5 Royale. I know there's a lot of new stuff, and I know some of it is significant. I know that some of things like literally are like improving character arcs. I know that some of it is like new characters, and it's a whole lot. But the journey was so big that I just can't think of putting the time aside to go through all of that and missing out on what I prioritize, which is new shit I haven't seen.
Both Outer Wilds and its DLC. A Way Out. Nier Automata. Those are the ones that jumped to me like super hard.
What just got updated with a significant Intergrade? FF7 Intergrade.
Yeah. Well, that's a little different because the Yuffie stuff is brand new, and it's a separate thing.
Can you just jump straight to that without?
Oh yeah, it's a separate campaign.
Oh shit. Okay, I thought it was buried in and like integrated.
No.
into the main story.
You would fucking think, right?
Well, shit. I was misled. Okay. Yeah.
Were you misled by nothing?
By, I guess, the name. Yeah, I thought it was like new version plus new stuff. You know, that was an. I didn't think it was a solo campaign thing. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that way. Any game that that finishes itself off with a like what I'm gonna call a complete thematic conclusion feels final.
I apologize for the unforgivable mistake. Holy shit.
So like Nier Automata is an incredible game, but I'm never gonna do ending E ever again the same way that I did the first time. Not even close. Oh, 13 Sentinels. Boy, I never want to play 13 Sentinels ever again.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
I will never go back to it. What a great game. Don't want to play it anymore.
Even if it's ported to the Switch.
I'll buy it.
And not the PC.
Girl.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, wait a second. If it's coming to the Switch, it is coming to the PC. Hey!
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, my keyboard.
Anyway, moving on. Some of y'all need to chill the fuck out. There, you got a little unreasonable there for a second. I was looking at the fucking chat. Anyways, let's take one over here from Brian, who says, "Howdy, folks. You guys discussed the design challenge of helping new players choose who to start with in a new game. And with multitudes of options, like in League of Legends and such, there's difficulty picking the characters. Well, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon has a fun solution to this problem. Rather than Professor Oak letting you decide which Pokemon you want to adventure with, your character in Mystery Dungeon is you, so you take a BuzzFeed personality quiz, and then the game asks you a series of questions, ultimately deciding which starter Pokemon aligns with your personality, and sometimes gender, which is a bit lame. While this isn't an exact solution that translates to all games, I do like the idea of presenting players with a personality, with a series of small choices, and using those to nudge them in a direction. Would you like to play support or damage? Do you want to swarm or have small units, or devastate with massive ones? And what kind of Pokemon are you? So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'm thinking of course, like I like the idea of that as a like possibility of like nudging you over to a direction while still giving you the ability to, you know, break out and choose if you'd like. Because there was that, for example, there was that JoJo game, the Seventh Stand User, where you did a personality test, and then there's ways to just like figure out what the answers are and get the one you wanted ultimately. But you do it the first time certainly, and then you get whatever is generated. But then after that, you're just gonna use the quick answers to tutorialize the process of getting the one you want. So I think a series of sliders,
Yeah.
And
then
options.
you go, I want Snorlax, and you look up the answers you got to say to get fucking Snorlax, because that kind of shit is bullshit.
Exactly. So it shouldn't be a hard rule that's the only thing you can rely on, but it would be fun to add something like that as an option, you know.
There's something about in New Vegas, there's like a personality test of like answer yes or no, you know, truth. It's like violence just ain't in my nature, and it's like strongly agree, strongly disagree, you know, and there's like 15 of those questions, and that's supposed to determine your skill, like if you're good at medicine or guns or whatever. And then the doc just goes, or you just put whatever the fuck. I mean, you just do whatever. Like, they give you your suggested, and you just change it. You just change whatever the fuck you want.
Right. And last one here, from. Did you give a tag? No, you didn't. Harry says, "Dear Willie and Pat, I was listening to last week's podcast with the Everhood and the message of the need of death in our lives, and it got me thinking about the portrayal of immortality as a curse in fiction. You'd think not aging and being able to live as long as you want would be a great thing, but often immortality is a curse more than a blessing. The origins of this are most likely from Faust, and the moral of the human being that needs to accept their current reality in order to find personal satisfaction. A fine moral, but it's become overplayed as a trope in fiction to the point that the concept of eternal life itself is a negative quality, and that the immortal should always want death unless they're a villain. I think the only noticeable subversion I can think of is a chapter of Sandman." You okay?
Sorry, I see people in the chat like going like Pat's charging up. It's like every time immortality comes up, I get like visibly excited by the conversation.
A good example of a subversion of this, was in a chapter of Sandman, and then they give a link to a conversation that takes place in Sandman where Dream is talking to an immortal who is talking about all the pains of life, but then in the end goes, "So you want to die then?" And he's like, "Fuck no, living's awesome."
Yeah.
The moral of values being placed on human and accepting your place often comes across to me as either preachy or sour grapes, a way the author and the reader find some acceptance of our mundane, short, and fragile lives. The need to value and accept our place as human beings shows up a lot in fiction and is often in many annoying forms. For example, a person isekai'd into a magic world decides to stay in the real world and live a normal life. The superhero with cool powers bemoans their fate and just wants to be normal. The hyper-intelligent, far superior alien race is defeated because they can't comprehend human emotion. Mechanical augmentation and other forms of transhumanism are depicted as a negative thing to have. Have you often encountered this trope in fiction, and has there been a case that particularly annoyed you? That's on point. There's a good bit of that. Yep. That's all of that. All of that is very frequent, and like
Like
many times, the core message the author is trying to get across is being human is the best and it's awesome.
I am profoundly against, like, War of the Worlds is a sci-fi classic because it scared the shit out of people. But War of the Worlds' message of the aliens were too stupid not to know what germs are is maybe the fucking stupidest cop-out in the fucking history of sci-fi. Like, aliens that could fucking travel like hundreds of millions of fucking light years and don't know to fucking put on a suit on a completely alien planet. Give me a fucking break.
Or how about the one where they're allergic to water, the thing that is made up of
most of the planet is, yeah,
and the population, not just the planet. Yeah, I mean I think that message encapsulates a whole lot of that stuff, because it is true that like there's a very constant need to find a way to be like, let's reframe the state. Like, it seems like it would be better to be better than human, but what you don't realize is the pain that comes with it, right? And like, depends on what your ultimate message is and what you're trying to tell. That can be done in a compelling way or a convincing way or an interesting way. I think for example, like, Nier tells some incredible stories that, like, their impact is tied to the idea of the fact that this is a repetitive process that cycles over and over and over again, looking for any variable in each one, right? I think but yeah, when it comes to stuff like I've ever heard, of course, that there's a buy-in that requires you to be on the same viewpoint as the person putting that story out into the world. I'm gonna just repeat what I said when we talked about that, and say that, like, there's value in someone trying to communicate the personal story of, like, accepting death as a positive and accepting death as a thing that you should be comfortable with. I once again reference the Midnight Gospel as a really good druggy ass cartoon that talks about all of these subjects, and then, like, has them central to the core and takes you on a very powerful journey as to why it's important to become familiar with death. But you can't be the one that decides for other people, yeah, it is very tropey, though. I agree. It doesn't always execute poorly, but now that you've pointed it out, especially, I feel like I'm gonna, every time it's like, oh my god, the humans are the craziest of all the aliens, because they have heart, soul, or some other thing. We can't figure it out.
Something, that special spark.
That human, what it means
spark of
to
life.
be
And spark of life is a really good analogy because of flame and the history with intelligence and the metaphor for flame.
The dark soul. It's the dark soul that we share.
I mean, this is an easy segue into what I want to start talking about, which is like this is an obvious question. You are being set up for a philosophical treatise on the endless life. Like, you literally couldn't have been more perfectly planned, with Silent Hill followed by Everhood, followed by Elden Ring, which is another nihilistic fantasy setting made by From Software, which depicts the type of infinite life as inhuman and unnatural, as a perversion of the natural order. Now, Vati was able to pull out in the network test, one of the details that appears to be occurring in Elden Ring is that not only is eternal life unnatural, but it appears that the unfortunate unintended side effect of that is that the propagation of life also no longer works. So it's entropy to another degree.
You can't create it.
Now,
okay,
if you're going to talk about immortality, right, I think we can all talk about the old-fashioned shit of I forget what Greek dumbass it was, but it's like, I want to live forever. And they're like, you might want to ask for eternal youth too, right? Okay, infinite life without some form of agency
quality
or
control.
your body. bodily control is obviously going to completely suck fucking shit, right? Like, it's going to be awful. You're going to curl into a tiny little old man and become like a fucking
A
rock
raisin.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay, no one's ever talking about that, right? You're talking about eternal life. You're talking about eternal life from, I don't know, your 20s to your 40s.
In a preservation form, yeah.
Okay? Here's the thing. There's obviously two real big trains of thought on this, and they pretty much break down to East versus West. East has a lot of religious and philosophy about cyclical natures. Life, reincarnation, the natural order, etc. Life is a continuous process, which does make more sense to like a biological actual thing of, you know, you
The
become...
mandala system.
Right. Over in the West, death has traditionally been viewed as linear. You're born, you die, you are judged by whatever deity you have available, and something does or doesn't happen to you, and this like affects people's perceptions of death, right, as a continuous process or as a state of finality. In Faust, all these other things about eternal life, it's used as a natural. Oh, living too long sucks. You get all sad and shit. But everybody who lamented their endless life, who lived from like the year 1400 to the year 2000's a fucking pussy. Shit got better. Okay? Shit got way better. We have a TV now. I'm playing games on my PlayStation. Food's good. You ever screw somebody? It feels good on your wiener.
That feels good.
Quit crying about it. Oh, boo-hoo, I live forever.
Feels good,
Living
man.
forever is portrayed in a lot of fiction the way rich people talk about getting rich is in the real world of don't get rich, man. It'll ruin your life. How about I figure that out for myself? Kanye?
The burden. Yeah.
Teflon Billy points out correctly, everyone you've loved died. Guess what? The vast majority of people in their lives will see most of their loved ones die anyway. I miss my grandma. I loved her dearly. She is gone. One day, my mom and dad will pass long before me. It sucks. I'm a person who loves to have pets. I have a dog and a cat. They will assuredly pass before me. Watching people pass on without... I've had coworkers who've passed away. I had people I knew in school who passed away. It sucks. You would be lit if that didn't happen. That'd be great. Oh, no, you can't have the self-actualization of starting a family because of overpopulation and the carrying capacity of the earth. Oh, but no one you ever know will die? Oh, bummer. Oh, it's not natural? Neither is a single thing about your life. Every single fucking thing you do in your life is unnatural to the quote-unquote natural order of things.
But
the computer
wait,
you're using to argue with me on...
Appeal to the past, though. Appeal to the way it was.
And also, bonus... certain types of jellyfish will literally recreate their own cells at a younger state and are functionally immortal anyway. So immortality isn't even actually unnatural. It's just really hard. With all that being said, you get a good robot to put me in. Give me another 1,000 years. I'll sign myself up. Give me that shit. If we got doctors and rocket scientists that listen to this podcast, if you guys got a fucking robot for me, I'll fucking ditch anything. I'm not doing anything tonight. Put me in the robot.
If we stare at lobsters long enough, we could probably learn a thing or two. They're the ones that just keep growing until they can't sustain.
Oh, a lot of stuff
anymore.
does that. Crocodiles and alligators do that too.
It's like they're not actually aging. It's just the mechanics failing.
They're just getting bigger, and then the inverse square law kicks in.
Yeah. But no. It's bad because
it's unnatural.
Because we say so. And
you know what it sounds like to me?
Just accept it.
You know what immortality is unnatural sounds like to me? It sounds like the writing of people in their 60s knowing it's too late for them. And going, well, if I'm not going to get my youth back. So fuck you kids. Pay your student loans.
Asterisk, as long as you don't get carsed.
Well, I think everybody can agree that the best possible thing is live forever but not be invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Choose so that it can end.
Yeah, the Earth blows up. Okay, fine. You're not going to be floating in space forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Heat death of the universe, you continue to exist. Not great. You know? Yeah. Okay.
Immortality, what a curse. Fuck off.
You should play. You should play ever. You should play the game. I think you should.
I'd just be screaming at like I'm so glad I dodged it. I'm so glad I dodged it, man.
From top to bottom would
fucking
have such a time playing it, dude. Like,
oh, fuck off.
If you pull that out of your pocket just now, slightly prompted, you would have a hell of a time with it.
I think about this a lot.
I can see that. I can see that. All right. Well, let's end it on that note, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.